What are you doing? Why are you still peeing? Magna! What the? Oh my god. Magna!
What's up, people? Sorry, I was hitting the Benjamin. I'm joking. I don't got one of those. I've just been, honestly, don't know what. I don't want to say sick, 'cause I didn't feel sick at all. But for the past like 2 days, it's like I'm saying this while opening a Monster Energy, by the way. Benjamins are fine. I have nothing really against Benjamins. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do about them, really. I guess, like, I don't think it's good that kids hit the Benjamin. What's up, Sauce Drama? And what's up, Localist Party and AC Local, by the way. I don't know. We should tax them, because they're definitely a negative externality. I think there's an argument to be made even for maybe banning the flavors that are, like, supposedly appeal to kids a ton. But I don't know, for the past like 2 days, ignore the Monster Energy I'm opening and pouring. It just has felt like that I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack at any moment. It's basically fine now. But it was like 2 days ago, like if I was just sitting in my chair, even like my heart would just kind of hurt, and like my shoulder would kind of hurt too. And I don't know I don't know what it was. But I just kept drinking caffeine anyway, and I'm fine now, basically. Also, does anyone know what the fuck Dean did? Isaac DM'd me right before stream and said, Dean is apologizing for something. He clicked on Destiny stream and it was Destiny reacting to Dean's apology. What the fuck did Dean do?
Okay.
Dean sucked a lot of dick and got caught? Really? He
Then
wouldn't
something else
apologize for it. He would like...
you said that I lied about not knowing about like what was said and the fact that Z had made racist remarks on the live.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have the Signal group chats screenshotted. You were at least made aware of what was going on.
Peyton, if you read my
I
messages,
read the message.
Peyton, will you please show me a screenshot of my
They can take my flavored vape from my cold dead hands.
my chats in the Signal chat from that?
Yes, it was you saying that you were at your grandparents. What's going on with Z on this live? In the middle of that.
It's the controversy. What did he just... His friend said something racist on a live stream or something and he didn't do anything about it? Is this where we're at now? We have like second order... Like, I bet it wasn't even real racism. It was probably TikTok level racism, okay? It was probably just, like, interrupting while a black woman was talking or something.
Of them explaining what was going on with Z in this live.
So I commented 2 times in the Signal group chat, like specifically saying that I was not there. I was at a dinner with my grandparents. Tell Z to get off this live. I was made
You
aware...
said what's going on with Z on this live, by the way, but
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I put my phone in my pocket.
Speaking exactly.
Okay.
Fantastic. That's great. And then forgot about what was going on, and then tried to push it aside, and then go to Texas A&M and party with Z after Texas A&M, and then act like you weren't okay with all of this. Like, you know what I mean?
What the fuck? Like what? Like. How do I find what this was commented on?
Okay.
I hate TikTok so much, dude. And I hate that you can't find some of the TikTok stuff on YouTube anymore. Okay, YouTube is... I've mentioned this before. YouTube's regressing. Okay, it was made so we could find Janet Jackson nip slips. Okay, but now there's just some shit that you can't find on YouTube because it's only on fucking TikTok or Instagram Reels. If I look up like Dean with a drama, like it's not. Maybe it just hasn't hit YouTube yet. Maybe it'll eventually get there. But what are we watching? I don't really know. It's just Isaac told me about it right before I started streaming. Dean is apologizing for something, and I don't know what that something is really.
Okay.
People like Dean bitch about people saying bad words all the time. So when they say retard, all their fan, did he even say like this isn't even him saying something, right? This is just him. This is just his friend saying something. And then... I guess he didn't condemn it fast enough or something? You can click on a comment too. I tried that, but it didn't... You can probably do it on mobile.
Okay,
but
then
here's just pausing the video. You might be able to do it on mobile. This is from Doom Winners Live last night with Peyton addressing Z to the Hill, microaggression towards a group of black creators who are critiquing the Unfuck America tour. Oh my god. I remember a little bit like when they first did the like Unfuck America tour thing. Which this is cool, by the way. I like this. People were like, "Oh, 2 white men doing it. Where are the black queens at or whatever? You and Dean should join the creator class boxing card against each other." Dude, Dean is fucking ripped. He would beat the fuck out of me. What's up, Wakana boy? Dean is yeah, he's fucking ripped. He also never accepted my Discord friend request. So, although to be fair, I kind of just sent it out of the blue. But I recommend condemn Peter for stepping down. What the like Jesus? Where? How does Gen Z become this cooked? Oh, by the way, Akanawa, you being here reminded me. I think Trump announced. I saw. I think it was Walter Bloomberg. Like said, oh, Trump is gonna consider like having equities in, yeah, Interior State Department, the U.S. is considering taking equity stake in mineral companies. And I'm just like, that's just not, like, I'm sorry, no opinion, but like, it's just not that bad. It's just like, exactly. Like, that's just a good, like, we should be doing that. Like, why, like, literally, why aren't we doing, like, you watching Dean stuff, Rin? Do you know about the Dean stuff? I don't really, from my understanding, it seems like, it was just, a friend of his was doing microaggressions towards a panel in Black creators. Is that really all the drama? But people are saying like, "Oh, Trump like Maoism," and it's like that's not the Maoist part of the MAGA movement. If Trump's someone well fund maximizes, I'm voting for him for a third term. I know one guy in my server does. Okay. Like I don't even know. There aren't any like drama slop channels that have covered it yet, so I don't know how I'm supposed to get the information on it. 55 billion, concentrated milk, butter, wine, other fruits. What country exports a fuck ton of dairy? I don't know. I feel like not funny export. Just before I finally throw my econ textbook in the trash can, is there any world in which the supplier bears the cost of tariffs, not the importing entity? Yeah. It's not like you. I mean, usually, like even the, even like the high pass-through rate studies will find like, oh, there's a 90% pass-through rate. But like, I mean, if the U.S. is a strong, which we are, it can affect the world price or whatever. Theoretically, there's even like an optimal tariff that could actually, because of that, increase the. Thanks, TrippyCast, for the sub. I think it's running through the old sub because he subbed earlier right now. That could actually influence the terms of trade in our favor. Now, in the real world, would be like really hard to know. But yeah, to a certain extent, the suppliers in other countries might lower prices to try to counteract the effect of tariffs. Isn't the optimal tariff rate like at 8 to 10%? No, that's not what optimal tariff just means. Optimal tariff, I mean, the rate could be whatever gets the terms of trade to be in your favor. Twitch is gay. But technically there is it means not blanket tariffs, really. It means so the optimal tariff model is like in a very specific situation, there could be a case where a tariff would like push supplier prices down enough that you can influence the terms of trade in your favor. But that's assuming that the other country doesn't retaliate, which, spoiler alert, the other country is gonna retaliate. I think there's a bunch of other. Hold on, there's a bunch of other assumptions. It's just not like particularly like relevant. No one has even This is what's crazy. I mentioned this frustration before. Okay, conservatives aren't even smart enough to bring up these style of arguments for it. Conservative sees this graph, okay, and like it freaks the fuck out. Okay, they're not even smart enough to bring up the bullshit arguments. They go for the straight like total horseshit arguments. Like I haven't even had a conservative cite that Coalition for a Prosperous America like paper study. It's not really. It's a model, I guess, technically, that says like, oh, 10% tariffs are actually going to raise Americans' incomes if we make a bunch of false assumptions about tariffs. They aren't even smart enough to bring that up. Trump actually gave an example of Chinese washing machines, I think. I would highly doubt that a tariff on Chinese washing machines would be optimal. Like, even if they retaliate, would it be that bad? It would just mean the tariff is no longer optimal. Like, that's what do you mean by that bad? It would mean, so if they retaliate, that would influence the terms of trade too, and the optimal tariff would no longer be optimal in the economic sense, right? Like, I know the supply could be influenced into adjusting their prices based on demand and necessity, etc., but the supplier isn't actually bearing the cost. Well, they're bearing the kind of depends what you mean. So there's you know, like who on paper pays something, and then there's the incidence of it, right? So like on paper, so for example, the employer side payroll tax, you know, technically, like on paper, the corporation or whatever is sending that money to the treasury when they hire an employee, but they also just factor that into the total cost of hiring an employee, and therefore like deduct it from their wages. So like the incidence of the corporate payroll tax is on the worker, despite the fact that the corporation is the one paying it. Which, by the way, that actually makes them more base, because workers don't realize that they're paying it, so you can tax them more without them realizing it, and it's based. What is the Dean stuff? Isaac, I don't really, I can't fully tell. It seems like what I think happened. I don't know if you saw a little bit ago, there were people complaining that Dean and Parker were doing the Unfuck America tour as like two white men or whatever, and didn't have any DI black queens on there or something. And I think someone, not even Dean, someone like associated with Dean, who I guess Dean is friends with, was talking about this on a panel with black curators, and then allegedly did some microaggressions against them, which I like, I don't know, like maybe Dean's friend did do something fucked up. I don't really know. I haven't seen the clip or anything. But like, shout out to Bernanke, by the way. True. Bernanke Powell, 2028. Okay. The voters want central bankers. They want central bankers. Okay. Did you know that I didn't, I mean, I guess this makes sense. Dean is racist, apparently. Bernanke is 1 year younger than Powell. Which, I mean, Powell was pretty old, so it doesn't make sense, but like, the idea of supplier paying to supply good, that's a novel idea that is missing in my textbooks. I mean, like most textbooks should have, you know, tax incidents in them at somewhere. You just have to apply that to the tariffs. Typical straight right male, true. Anyway, I don't know if fucking country exports a ton of milk. I feel like it's not Argentina, but I'm going to guess Argentina because they have cows. Let's swallow the rice. 55 billion. Australia would have other shit. What shit? Like, probably America and Australia. Yeah, but no, America, first of all, has more than 50 billion in total exports, and second of all, we have like other shit than fucking this bullshit. But it's in like it's 9,000 kilometers west of Argentina, so it's like I feel like Australia would. I know Australia has more metals. I'm trying to think. Maybe Indonesia would have like textiles and stuff, I think. Maybe it's... What does New Zealand export? Holy shit! Let's go. Goated. Sam Cedar, maybe? What? Dolphin is the realest black man I've ever seen. He is black excellence. True. 45 billion is low. No, yeah, 45 billion is not. It's not that big. It's bigger than some of the fucking island nations that they give me sometimes. There was one time I was playing. It wasn't like a daily thing. I was playing the unlimited version, and it was the island that got You're mistaken Indonesia for your mom. Thanks, Akata boy. True. By the way, Akata boy's gonna be on Tim Pool, guys. That's gonna be fucking fire. I will be watching. I don't know if I will react to it live, because one, I'd feel kind of bad doing that because it's stealing content live. But it is from Tim Pool. It's not technically from you. I'm doing so much research, I would bet. Sam versus Ethan debate Friday, according to Wick TV. It was according to, I think Ethan said that they were debating. I don't think Hasan has fully confirmed it yet, but seemingly they've agreed. But this fucking like French island got a 50% tariff rate because some Chad, okay, in June 2023, imported like like $3.4 million worth of. Where's the Census Bureau thing? Worth of fucking Is it a Penguin Island? No, it's a different one. I'm preparing for some truly stupid arguments. They're all stupid. Like I said, okay, the welfare state is just too goated. Here's I don't know where the link is, but like some guy in June. Where's June? This is not the right fucking thing. Imported. Oh yeah, here we go. Imported $3.4 million worth of fucking crustaceans. Are Conor gonna slay? Of course he is. I have faith. If we consider welfare state is actually the reason why black people are poor. Have I ever? Haven't you seen that? Even Thomas Sowell was saying that one, right? Didn't he go in front of Congress and testify that? And he's a black king. Okay, you have to listen to him. Non-knit men's coats. Okay. Bangladesh. Indonesia. India. Vietnam, probably. Vietnam. How do you spell Guatemala? I have generally no clue how to spell Guatemala. I will guess India, though. Number 20. Fuck. Not my streamer. How the fuck do you spell Guatemala? Is it not G? There we go. I figured it out, guys. Oh, fuck. I still... Okay, well... Oh, China. I don't know why I didn't guess China. I'm fucking stupid, obviously. China, Vietnam, Italy. Italy and Germany. Motherfucker reads my second. Oh, are you Isaac? Did it show up in my thing? Oh, it did show up in my thing. Yeah, you're right. I didn't read it. Centralization is based. Actually true. For real, though, I have the best argument that you have to distribute resources from workers to non-workers somehow. And a central democratic state is clearly the best way. True. It's just, we both listen to Matt Brunegg, I'm aware. You have to get people who don't ordinarily receive factor payments, payment, income somehow. By the way, I found all these new games there because I usually just play Tradle. This one is this is impossible, okay? Because, like, what the, like... There's no way to guess what this shit. Okay, non-knit men's shirts. This could be, China. What are stoneworking machines? Knit sweaters, probably one of them. What the fuck is this? Connect trade. Play Ethnocresser. Don't want to play that. I'm gonna guess, but I feel like coffee, petroleum, petroleum. Yeah, I feel like coffee, rolled tobacco, ground nuts would probably go together. Petroleum gas, refined petroleum, essential oil. Oh, non-knit men's undergarments. But yeah, look at this shit. Okay, so these three are right. Are you fucking kidding me? Acrylic alcohol derivatives. But see, yeah, it's just gonna be a completely random thing because I have like the three similar things, which are like knit, which are like textile stuff, and then I tried those two, and it's just gonna be something completely random. Fucking rigged. gonna guess roll tobacco. Fuck you. Okay. It comes to 9-year-old Josiah, you are not the father. So true. What does that mean? Coffee? It could be coffee, because it could be. I'm guessing it's just a poor country and they export coffee, but it could be petroleum as well. I'll guess coffee. Fucking hell. Okay, but I have 3 of the orange ones now. Coffee, rolled tobacco, non-knit. It could be essentially. It could be ground nuts or sowing seeds. I'm gonna guess ground nuts. Okay, got that one. Okay. And then the red ones, we have 3 of still. So the knit t-shirts, and then knit t-shirts. I'm gonna guess petroleum. Fuck. See, game's stupid. But honestly, ports of petrol save 6% graduate population. I don't know. I'm not gonna know a lot of the. I mean, I can broadly guess what some of these countries are gonna export, especially because I've played Tradle. But yeah. And by the way, it's fun. Listen, GDP comes out tomorrow. It'll be interesting because I don't know at this point. Even the gold adjusted, we actually today got the worst gold adjusted GDP now thing so far. Or there was a oh fuck, did I not save it? I haven't streamed it forever. I got too many. Thanks. There's this guy who made it interesting in the Financial Times, made an interesting argument or whatever. If we just look at personal or like consumer spending and private investment, which he calls core GDP, that seems to be a better indicator because GDP was negative in 2022, Q1 2022, but eventually like the revisions show that we didn't actually have negative growth in Q1 2022, and core GDP was still strong in 2022. So it could be the case that we get a bad, GDP reading or whatever, but then core GDP still tends to be pretty good. But also, if we just look at consumer spending, seems like it's fallen. It's the blue thing here. But I don't know. We'll see. But it also doesn't matter because these people, it doesn't matter if it's negative, then it's short-term pain, long-term gain. If it's positive, then it's, I thought liberals were saying tariffs were going to be bad, but GDP is still good. U.S. trade wars creating substantial turbulence in the global economy. It is creating even more turbulence in the statistics used to track the global economy. GDP is probably going to be shit. It wouldn't. I talked about this on Twitter today too. I don't think it's going to be negative, and if I had to put money on it, I just feel like the U.S. economy is too goated. Okay, and it's not like, uncertainty, has negative effects too. Most of the tariffs haven't actually, or a lot of tariffs only like relatively recently went into effect. Which, by the way, from also what I've seen, it seems like basically no matter what Trump does now, there very well could be shortages of some goods in the summer and, a month from now, because there's already ports in Seattle and LA that are empty or have a, dramatic reduction in shipping volume. But I don't know. I would still say we gotta have at least 1% growth. It's gotta be. Like, that'd still be bad, by the way, because it should be 2%, over 2%, but we can get to 1%. No way it's less than 1%. Even if positive is growth is slow, it's still shit. True. Trump's got a pipeline, a Qatar real estate project. Don't worry, guys. The Qatar real estate project will save the U.S. economy, guys. Oh, wow. A $5.5 billion development. This is to say the U.S. economy is saved. Oh, my God, guys. We did it. Is this even... Is this... What does this... What does it mean, Trump? The Trump International... Oh, of course. So it's not even a... It's just like his private dealings. Okay, that's great. That's cool. Most of the people making the current decisions have enough pain, insulation to last them 4 generations long after they're gone. True. Dude, by the way, speaking of... I was going to bring this up earlier. I can't believe how... I can't believe that, like, semi-intelligent people like this dude. I don't even want to call. It could come
through this Wilcox decision, maybe that would sort of set a legal path for Trump to do so. Why do you feel this way?
Just can't pause it. Like, I'm pretty sure this guy runs a company. Like, he seems to have semi-reasonable positions on some things, but like now, like the argument that he has to make to have MAGA still listen to him is that Jerome Powell is doing a bad job because he won't bail out Trump's trade war. It's like, kill me, dog. Kill me. I got you muted, but you're rid of you, buddy. I appreciate it. It's like, actually fucking kill me. It's like, this is where we're at now, really? This is what we have to do to get MAGA to listen to you? Like, dog, just be whatever, just go be a libertarian tech bro and just be willing to say Trump bad, okay? That, like, just go keep doing your dumb libertarian tech bro shit or something. Trump is not helping you. He's not helping you. The tariffs are not going to help you tech bro people. Just go fuck off. That's all you have to do, man. But anyway. You find yourself pro or against a foreign country adopting the dollar? I mean, like, I think it probably can make sense if the people in a country just really don't have trust in the government to have a proper currency, right? Like, didn't Brazil? I think Brazil for a while had to peg their dollar to the U.S. dollar because I think they had gone through like. I think they've gone through like three or four different like new currencies. The real plan. But like I feel like generally speaking, it makes sense for countries to have, monetary independence. Like, from what I've read, it just seems even like the Eurozone, it just feels stupid to like make Greece have broadly the same monetary policy as Germany and everything. Like, it just seems. No, it's a Doge dividend guy. Yeah, he's also. He is also that guy. Kill me. He debated. He was on the Jubilee episode with Destiny too. And it's just weird. Like I said, it's weird to like see like these semi-intelligent people. Like, I say semi-intelligent. They are intelligent people. It's just that because I think it's just genuinely because they want MAGA to listen to them. They have to find like the most insane ad hoc justifications for whatever Trump is mad about. And it's like, it's insane. I feel like there was a Brazil currency HAI. I feel like there was a this one. Yeah.
It's June 30th.
When I'm gonna react to this whole thing, but I think this explains like.
The Cruzeiro became the Cruzeiro Novo, which became the Cruzado, which became the Cruzado Novo, which became the Cruzado Real, which finally became the Real after a brief fling with URVs, of course. By the time we get to URVs, Brazil has tried and failed many times to wrangle inflation, and people.
So, I mean, it just seems like in a case where people just like really do not trust the government to actually maintain a stable currency, it could make sense to, peg your currency to the dollar or whatever. Would it be better or worse if Trump listened to the tech bros entirely rather than shoot random stuff? It would be like what do you mean by tech bro? Yeah, I think it would almost certainly be better if you listened to most of the tech bro people, because like most of the the tariffs are not helping the billionaire class. They're not helping a lot of the tech bros who have money invested in the the stock market and need to be able to raise money from like IPOs and from venture capital and stuff. Like, I don't know. It feels like it'd be better if you listened to some of those people instead of Peter Navarro. Whatever issues we might have with cryptocurrency and whatever dumb shit he might want to do surrounding that. This wouldn't happen if that we have a new, I think I added it to my Notion page. There's a new survey from the Dallas Fed about their manufacturing sector. And, guys, it's bad. Guys, it's bad. What? You're telling me universal tariffs don't actually help manufacturing? What? Who would have thought of that? What? No. What, you're telling me? You're telling me that tariffs are going to raise costs relative to foreign producers? What? Tech bros would end the Fed and make us all use Bitcoin. So I guess there is that. I don't know how far Trump would be willing to go on that, and I really don't know. Do tech bros really want to end? I know maybe they'll make a strategic Bitcoin reserve or some bullshit like that, but like, they really gonna fuck with Jerome Powell? They're really gonna fuck with Jerome Powell, my goat, Jerome Powell. They wouldn't dare. This week, anyway, can we read this now? The U.S. GDP statistics are going to be released, and the headline is likely to be very weak. You should ignore it, as I always do, and focus instead on what's called the core GDP, the figures that reflect consumer spending and private investment. Economists and market participants already know to focus on core inflation, which strips out volatile food and energy items. They do this not because they don't care about the burdens of food and energy prices for families, but because statistically, core inflation is a much better predictor of future overall inflation than the overall inflation number itself. In other words, core inflation is the signal. When it is high, inflation tends to be high in the future. Food and energy prices are the noise that tends to reverse itself. And in the Fed, probably not. Just pump Bitcoin and turn it into some weird gold alternative beyond what it is now, maybe. But I don't even did I ever get anywhere with the debanking stuff? Debanking. Oh, did he sign an executive order? I don't know if this is what I'm talking about. We'll be on the Bitcoin standard. That'd be the... Dude, when is Argentina going to get on a cryptocurrency standard? When are they going to get on a blockchain? Do you think you could point me towards some good sites researching what Trump has been doing? I don't know what I do. Like, I'm just subscribed to like 50 people on Substack, which, by the way, it was declined, but then I got money, so it wasn't declined. People want to donate, so my card doesn't keep getting declined for Substack subscriptions. That'd be good. I don't know. I subscribe to a lot of people's Substacks, and they tend to keep me up with what Trump is doing pretty well. Harry Sisson posts a fucking lot, apparently. Okay. Like Paul Krugman, obviously. Bessie on Twitter. Trying to think. That keep up with what Trump is doing. There's that Musk watch. My Substack is the best one. Very true. Very true. I haven't actually read your two most recent posts, though, Econoboy. I have to, but I haven't. Too much lefty nonsense. I saw you want to socialize 67% of GDP. Too much. You gotta slow it down, but they're quite unhinged. Exactly. I don't know. Is this Musk Watch? I know it's technically another Substack thing. I think they do have a website though, but does Pisco post to his? Did he ever start posting again? April 16th. You know, I guess that's not that long ago. Oh wait, this is a fucking video. Oh, well, a podcast. Okay. You guys have been posting, not sure why. Oh, Lib and Learn, obviously. Obviously, Lib and Learn. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. or something. Obviously, yeah. I don't know. I usually I see news on Twitter. I see news on Substack. And I watch streamers. And that usually... I don't know. That keeps me caught up with broadly a lot of things, but then I, if I know I have a debate coming up on something, I'll have to. Liberalism kills. So true. I'll have to, research stuff. Like I would not be, even just from, living out on Twitter or whatever. If I were to do a debate on the Garcia dude or whatever, I'd have to do more reading on it to be comfortable having a high conviction take on it, at least a high conviction opinion. Okay. When GDP comes out, however, the headline number always attracts the lion's share of attention. In the first half of 2022, for example, there are many debates about whether or not the U.S. was in a recession after GDP growth was reported to have contracted for 2 quarters in a row. Falling at 1.3%, falling at a 1.3% annual rate, one of those negative quarters was revised away in the 2024 update. Then why do you support it? I obviously don't think, or I don't want to say liberalism kills no people. I think liberalism is, the net positive system. Ground News has been helpful. Right now I'm writing down his campaign policies and promises and then diving into what he actually did. Oh, there's also that Project 2025 Observer. There's this as well, which looks at some of his executive actions and compares them to Project 2025. What's up, bro? It's stuck. What's up? Liberalism is the worst, even from a utilitarian POV. Well, I obviously don't think that. Yeah, this compares a lot of promises in Project 2025 to what they've done. Well, then you're just post-factual and idealist. Very true. Very true. Live and learn for your weekly argument for why the Dems seem to be way more left-wing on all issues. Very true. They do that, and Hutch will scream about some polls. I'm going to be, by the way, I'm going to be so evil in 2028. I'm going to be so evil. You guys wait, okay? You guys wait. 2028, there's going to be a Democratic candidate up there saying we should privatize Social Security and we should, what else? Lower the corporate tax, okay? And I'm going to be whoever that person is, okay? I'm going to be the most flagrant supporter of them, okay? I'm going to be so evil. I'm relieved with how Canadian federal election turned out. Yeah, I don't know a ton about the Liberals in Canada or whatever. But yeah, I saw Mark Carney won. My GOAT, my favorite central banker. Central banker, both UK and UK and Canada, right? Zero corporate tax, privatize everything. Let's go full Thatcher. That's what I'm saying. No, I don't want to go full Thatcher. I think, by the way, I think I might like Cory Booker. I was just skimming through his Wikipedia page, and I think at one point he did want to lower the corporate tax. I think he also has like the. Yeah, here we go. Animal welfare. According to Humane Society, Booker has the most pro-animal welfare voting record in the Senate year after year. Mark Carney is the Forrest Gump of economics. True. And I think there was I feel like there was a economy, baby bonds. Where's their corporate tax? Yeah, taxes and carbon emissions based, lowering corporate taxes based, and tax incentives, which is kind of broad, but based, I guess. Brooker's the sweetest boy, and true. What kind of animal welfare, though? Because food doesn't deserve welfare. I don't know exactly what actually they're voting on, but I think food deserves welfare. Should end at pets. But I can't imagine... I can't imagine much of the votes that go on in the Senate are really about farm animals. What if I have a pet cow? Very true. What is it? This fucking sucks. I was wondering when Trump needed to donate to the Shrimp Welfare Project to be a net positive person. I don't know. Probably, if Trump donated all of his money to the Shrimp Welfare Project, he could probably save like the majority of the shrimp killed every year, at least in the U.S. I don't know if that would be net positive actually, but if he did that, then that would, I would find it at least plausible, okay, that he was in net positive. I don't know how sure I would be, but if he saved, and by save I mean just save from a painful death. I mean they still die. The majority of shrimp in the U.S. then it would be plausible he's in net positive, okay? Because that would be. I think the way the math works out, even if you assume shrimp suffer, I like how I just type in the best now because I cite this article so much it comes up. Shrimps only suffer about 3.1 as intensely as humans, which is a relatively conservative estimate. Even if $1 would save 1,500, and that's equal to anesthetizing 46.5 humans before they suffocate to death at low temperatures. So, if you donated billions of dollars, that'd be like huge. But you also, the difficult part, you also have to consider the, future sentience. So like if you like how much utility, how much negative utility is there for future generations if they're living in a backslided democracy or whatever. I don't know how you would weigh that. That'd be difficult. Okay, anyway. I was not worried back then because I was focused on a statistic that grew in both quarters, averaging 1.5% annual rate in the original release. The statistic in question has a complicated name. Final sales to private domestic purchases, perhaps the reason it is not caught on. The BEA, which produces US GDP, added it as a memo line to their official GDP releases after I started emphasizing its significance based on research it initiated when I was chair of the White House Council of Economic Advisors during the Obama administration. Final sales to private domestic purchases is simply the growth of personal consumption and fixed investment, including business and residential investment. These tend to be inertial with stable readings over time, just like core consumer price index. What it excludes net exports, inventories, and government spending. This is important now because the trade war is having a huge transitory impact, especially on net exports and inventories, both in reality and in the difficulty in measuring unusual movements. China's GDP in the first quarter was boosted by an increase in exports to get ahead of tariffs, but is almost certainly transitory. Substantially slower growth lays ahead. Conversely, shifting from domestically produced goods to import could artificially depress U.S. GDP growth in the first quarter in a way that reflects more shifting than underlying fundamentals. Current estimates for U.S. First quarter suggest weak and possibly even negative growth. For now, the S&P Global Forecast predicts the economy contracted 0.2% at a 0.2% annual rate. But it's estimated for core GDP growth is 2.4%, a more reliable guide to the economy's strength in the first part of the year, although tariffs could result in significant weakening going forward. Central banks are currently being forced to make difficult choices about whether to be more concerned about inflation or unemployment. It would be nice if they could make these choices by looking forward, but that is basically impossible given policy uncertainty. As a result, they have to rely more than ever on the data in the rear view mirror. In doing so, we would all be better served by focusing on the underlying economic picture. Looking at core GDP is a great way to start. This is the hopium we need. Where's my window capture? Anyway. I have a bunch of shit to react to. I'm not sure how much we'll go through this, but also let me pull up my notes. Hasan Ethan debate sounds horrible. It's changed my mind. It will be interesting. I don't know how much you keep up with all that drama, Duck, but it will be very interesting. I don't know if I don't know if I care to watch it live, honestly. I might save it for stream that night. It's also the same day Econoboy's going on Tim Pool, and I care about Econoboy more. So, but I'm so curious what the fuck they're even gonna actually debate about. Hasan is gonna debate Ethan? Supposedly that's what Ethan has said. Is it gonna let me put pussy as my favorite thing, or is it gonna get mad at me? Hope it lets me put pussy. Epic, it'll be Ethan's funeral. I really don't know what the fuck they're even going to talk about, so I kind of doubt it's going to be Ethan's funeral. I mean, Ethan, regardless of what you think of Ethan, I don't think he's an especially bad debater, and he's definitely going to prepare, and he definitely has he has producers and everything that are probably going to help him as well. So, what is the debate that Hasan is a bad person? Yeah, that's what I don't know. Is the premise of the debate going to be debating Hasan's actions, or are they going to be just debating Israel Palestine broadly, or debating how much is Hasan responsible for Denham's community allegedly doing so? I don't know. Hasan is not a bad person. Ethan is. So true. Better let me put pussy. Anyway, I want to watch my goats. Okay, my goats. I always forget how to pronounce his name. Scott, Cato Institute guy, and Kyla, my goat.
So much for joining me today.
Talk about some of these tariffs. Make it louder.
My pleasure. Good to be here.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk to you because I've been a big fan of your work for a long time. And you've been the person that I'm okay, what's Scott tweeting about? Whenever we have news on tariffs, I go to your Twitter page. And I'm really curious, what you're thinking about, where we're at.
Not to brag, I've had three tweets be liked by Scott. So, I'm pretty cool like that. Yeah. Not to brag, not to brag.
Tariffs now, they're trying to negotiate, 90 deals in 90 days. And President Trump has said that part of the reason that he wants to do these tariffs, it seems to be to undo some element of globalization. So how are you thinking about, number one, the tariffs that we're seeing, and number two, the goal of undoing globalization?
Yeah, I mean, the tariffs are a mess. The reality is that, Trump likes tariffs. He always has liked tariffs. And I think we all expected some increase in the U.S. tariff rate on average, and specific actions targeting China and autos and pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, that kind of stuff. So in that sense, pretty much expected. But all this other stuff, the reciprocal tariffs, that crazy formula they threw out there to calculate them, 90 countries in 90 days, trade deals. I mean, this is.
By the way, it's gonna be so annoying if Trump. If Trump doesn't actually get any deals done, MAGA won't care. They won't care. They won't care. They'll just be like, all these stupid countries wouldn't agree to get rid of their VATs. So now we're going to bring manufacturing back, just like we wanted to do the whole fucking time. It's like, kill me. It's like...
trade madness. In the biz, you would look at this and go, what are we doing, right? And I think has shocked markets, has shocked...
Newsflash, a liberal geezer liking your tweet is not a flex. He's actually worse than a liberal. He's a libertarian, dude.
Analysts like me, because, markets are all about expectations, right? And the expectation, especially among like the big banks and stuff, was that you'd see some increase, but not what we've gotten. The other, though, big shock is the uncertainty around all of it, because... the first Trump term, we had some tariffs, but they took...
Libertarians are liberal. Well, they're lowercase liberals, not capital... Lowercase L liberals, not capital L liberals, right? Yo! Thanks for subbing, Bubby.
When you're a dirty lib.
This is very true. What's up, Bubby? Welcome back. Thanks for the sub. I appreciate it. 6 months. Goddamn.
While, and they were telegraphed. So you had, about $80 billion in new tariffs per year, give or take, per, certain estimates. But
can I not skip this yet? Fuck this game. Oh, I skipped it.
It took about 2.5 years to implement those. This time around, you're getting almost $800 billion in tariffs, and in 2.5 months. So, basically 10 times the tariffs, 10 times as fast. And that's just shocking, along with then the carve-outs and the exemptions and the pauses. And, trying to invest in this market, if you're a CEO planning a major new expansion, or if you think, the United States is now protectionist, we need to invest in the United States, all this stuff makes it pretty much impossible. So I think, again, the technical term is a mess. And it reflects some disagreement among White House staff, it appears, and also just this time around, there just aren't moderating influences on the president's impulses like there were last time. Ones that said, let's go through a process, let's do
I'll have you know. Don't you know, Scott, that he announced a 90-day pause in tariffs after Peter Navarro was gone for a little bit. I think two of his other advisors came in and had to convince Trump to do a 90-day pause.
Notice and comment. Let's talk to the businesses. No, this is just let's go. And unfortunately, the laws allow for that, and Congress hasn't taken back some of its tariff powers.
Trump advisors took advantage. Navarro was absent to push for tariff pause. Fucking this country's awesome, dude. Let's go. Let's go.
On your second point about globalization. No, I mean, first, globalization is often talked about as some sort of thing that was, created in like Davos by Larry Summers and Milton Friedman and some other, maybe George Soros is there too. And they just thrust it upon the world in the 1990s. But the reality is that people have been trading across long distances and migrating across long distances since the dawn of recorded history. The only things that have changed in the last, 40 years or so is that it's become much easier to trade thanks to the internet and a bunch of other technologies, containerized shipping and all this. And governments have gotten out of the way to some extent. So they've, enacted trade agreements, or they've unilaterally liberalized trade barriers after a long period of experimenting with protectionism and industrial policy and just finding that it didn't work very well. And that's particularly the case in the U.S. And going back even further, some of the liberalization is related to foreign policy, right? We got into a couple world wars in part because countries got into these rival trading blocs, and they decided to get out of that by liberalizing, entering into what's now the World Trade Organization and that kind of stuff. So that's not going away. The fact is that even with, having extremely protectionist rhetoric in the White House and during the Biden White House as well, quite frankly, inflation-adjusted imports into the United States hit an all-time high last year. Governments around the world, except for the United States, are still signing free trade agreements to liberalize trade with each other. the DHL does this great global connectivity index that looks at all these different measures of global economic activity, and it's hovering at its all-time high right now.
Well, that would have been useful to have for when I talked to Gibbs on the supposed worldwide decline of globalization or whatever last week, but
even the World Trade Organization's very pessimistic global trade report shows a very modest 1-2% contraction in global trade this year. That's just crazy given all of this stuff we're hearing, right? So that, I think, gets back to the reality that
we should have free trade. Get rid of tariffs on drugs. You know what's fun? There was an article from I think it was the Free Trade Brian guy on Twitter. Tariffs do appreciate exchange rates, and that does make buying fentanyl in dollar terms cheaper technically. Yeah, and that obviously the tariffs don't apply to fentanyl because fentanyl is shipped over illegally. Although supposedly, I don't know, Canada has their new fentanyl czar. So, although Mark Carney's in charge now, so who knows? Who knows? He might want the fentanyl.
People on the ground still want to do this. We want our cheap stuff. We want to watch Squid Game on Netflix. We want to eat at an Indian restaurant or whatever. There's all these aspects of globalization that are going to stick around. And I think on the corporate side, look, global supply chains are not going anywhere. They're just too complex and too efficient. What you're going to see, I think, more than anything is just companies, again, trying to navigate around Donald Trump, particularly given that other governments don't seem to be following his lead.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Japan at least tried to negotiate, and they went to the table, and the Trump administration was like, we don't know what we want. So is there even a possibility for any of this to go away? Like, it just feels like nobody wants it except for the administration. Other countries are quite upset with us. Like, what do you think the end state is here?
I mean, I think we're in for a rough few years. But I also think that I'm expecting increased moderation over the next,
How is eating
months.
in an Indian restaurant America first? I don't know, man. I think, first of all, presumably most Indian restaurants are owned by at least permanent residents. I don't know if you can you own a business without being, if not a citizen, a permanent resident? I don't know. Presumably a lot of people who own Indian restaurants would consider themselves at least American in some way, but I don't know. We're a pretty multicultural society, dude. If Americans like Indian food, the free market will provide it.
Donald Trump says he doesn't care about the stock market, but then he let it slip, right? That it was the bond market turmoil that helped him, pushed him to announce the big pause that caused markets to skyrocket. And I do think that
you can own it while not being a resident since you don't have to operate it. What? It doesn't whoever on paper owns a business has to be a resident, right? That's what I'm saying. Like that's my understanding.
Yes. That we've seen has
like,
allowed for some of the more moderate voices in the Trump administration to exert themselves and be more influential. So Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary. So they seem to be ascendant. Peter Navarro, the very protectionist advisor, who's a bit of a Rasputin type, whispering in Trump's ear, and is very good at apparently being like the last guy Trump talks to before.
If you're a foreigner who pays taxes in the country, you do not need to be a permanent resident on a business. Oh, never mind. Or be listed at a corporate office, a director, or earned income. There are no specific provisions in U.S. law that prevent a non-citizen from being a shareholder in a U.S. company. A shareholder. Can you get an LLC? Presumably, you can get an LLC, I guess. What's up, Bong stuff? Welcome back. Non-permanent residents can form and own an LLC. That's surprising.
Or he sends some Truth Social post. But Navarro seems to have been not excommunicated.
Didn't know this? No, I assumed that you would have to be a to actually like register a business or whatever. You'd have to be a citizen, or not citizen, but at least lawful permanent resident.
Relegated a bit. So that to me, along with the these deals, strikes me that we're going to get a little
America
more
illegally. Why would you? What do you mean? Like you don't have to. I mean, I guess like someone has to own a legal business to launder money, right? But presumably, if you're in the country illegally, I don't know. You would pay someone who owns a business legally to I also don't know if the majority of illegals opening businesses in America are laundering their money, so I doubt that's that much of a factor. But and presumably, to the extent that money laundering happens, you could just pay someone who owns a business in America to do it, right?
Look, again, going back to my central thesis that Trump likes tariffs and has surrounded himself with people who like tariffs and truly sees trade balances as scorecards for who's winning and losing in trade. Yes, I'm glad you're shaking your head there. But that's just, it's something that it's been reported this way for 40 years. And nobody, by the way, has ever published a countervailing report. There's all these silly theories. Oh, Trump knows exactly what he's doing. He doesn't actually think trade balances are scorecards. He's just using.
I mean, foreigners living overseas, laundering their money in America, and then sending it back as legit money. That would still, you can still do that with a legally owned U.S. business, right? Wait, that could still happen. Why the fuck would you even need, if they're living overseas, why the fuck would they need a illegal to own a business? They can just pay a U.S. company to do it or whatever. It still makes sense, even if this is totally irrelevant. But that still could definitely happen if you own a legal business. In fucking Breaking Bad, the car wash was a legal business owned by U.S. citizens, but they were still laundering money. Presumably, foreigners in other countries could have gone up to Better Call Saul and been like, "Hey, can you launder some money for me too?" Anyway, regardless.
Using this rhetoric to get to kind of this madman theory of international diplomacy. Yeah, nobody's actually ever published a report, given, whether it's the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or the Washington Post or anything.
I don't know how to fuck to play this game, by the way. What do I do now? I was just cleaning shit around my house. I don't know. I don't know how to play this game. Is there a tutorial?
Somebody else. Former Trump officials have never for a second said, this is all brilliant 3D chess. It's pretty simple. So either is the best kept secret in the history of international economic policy, or Occam's razor applies, right? That it's a pretty simple explanation. And because of that, and given that Congress is not likely to take back its tariff powers, that it's just broadly delegated to the president, I think we should expect more of this stuff. And then finally, there is kind of the Hail Mary that the courts will get involved. And there are some lawsuits. And I think, there's a
I don't think it's I think it's actually, from what I've seen, if the lawsuits get up to the Supreme Court, there's almost no shot most of the tariffs are constitutional. I don't know if that's a Hail Mary. How do I go in the fucking? Oh, I figured it out. You right click. I think there's that board game company suing them. I know. It seems to me very likely the tariffs get ruled unconstitutional. There are convoluted reasons for it, mostly around control of the business and people yoinking it in recourse. Okay.
That a couple of them might be successful, particularly on the invocation of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEPA, which is mainly what Trump has used for the biggest actions, the fentanyl stuff, the reciprocal stuff. So the courts might maybe, coin toss, get involved there. But the fact is that he's using all these other statutes that are kind of bulletproof for the courts have basically signed off on, in particular, the National Security Section 232.
Most of all the sectorial tariffs, like on steel and everything, like on steel and aluminum, probably legal. Yeah, there's this, I know the board game company that's suing them.
Which is how we got steel and aluminum, and now lumber and copper and autos and semiconductors and pharma. So
I saw the auto tariffs have been rolled back a little bit, by the way, but
there's still a lot of stuff there. So I think we should expect a rough patch going forward.
And do you feel like other countries are going to go to China? Like a lot of people have talked about this is now the Chinese century. Jinsen Huang met with China after being overburned by the Trump administration. So how are you thinking about all that?
I do. I think that they maddeningly threw the Chinese government a massive lifeline because, China's economy, they're doing great stuff in EVs and batteries, but the economy itself is a mess. Fighting deflation, tons of overcapacity, this kind of weird Xi is cracking down on private business, and then he's talking up private business and government control over both social and economic life. I mean, things were not looking good. And global investors were kind of like, you know what, we're gonna look elsewhere for our investments and our wins. Well, all of a sudden, China's looking pretty good. And if you know how a lot of trade works, it works what we call a gravity model, which really just means big countries tend to attract other countries that are smaller in their orbit. So just like gravity, right? And China is huge. And so if you're Vietnam or Cambodia or a lot of other countries that are in China's orbit already, and your options are get smacked with a giant tariff in the US or, deal with the CCP, that's terrible, but at least I can deal, right? At least there's something there. It makes China look a lot better. And then you throw in the fact that China's at the World Trade Organization, acting like the responsible power and talking up globalization. And so all this stuff, and you can kind of laugh at it because we know, I mean, look, the Chinese government does intervene in its economy. It does things that are bad, whether it's on trade policy or human rights and other things. So we can laugh about that, but again, it's all relative. And right now, the United States in a lot of ways is looking worse than China. And if so much of investment is just finding the least ugly person, right? And that might be China.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of countries are going that way, which is just shocking. Like, I feel like if you had said all of this half a year ago, people would have been like, no way. Like,
right, exactly.
And
there also is notes on what, on Trump?
Is I think a third option here, or at least they're not mutually exclusive, but there are other countries that are more aligned with the U.S. in terms of politics and values and that kind of stuff, like New Zealand, for example, that they're not going to China hat in hand. They're going to trade with China, Australia too, but instead they're going to.
That was another thing, by the way. I think this was Australia, or it might have been Europe. That said, like, they're not gonna engage in a trade war with China on behalf of Trump. I think as part of their negotiations, they said, I think it was Europe. They said, first of all, we're not going to get rid of our VAT because a VAT is trade neutral. Fuck that. And second of all, we're not going to get rid of China from our own supply chains because we fucking need them and don't want to engage in some bullshit trade war. That hurts ourselves as well. Oh, and the EVs as well. I think that they were trying to negotiate with China over them. It might have been Australia, though. Yep, working on the border policies right now. Based. Yeah. Australia declined. China's offered it. Oh, this is Australia declining China. Okay. Fuck. There's one country. I feel like it was either Australia or Europe that said they just don't want to give it to them. Do you tolerate fascism? Not really.
Europe, and they're going to others and saying, hey, we need to create kind of this coalition of liberal democracies as well, using, it's painful to even say, the U.S. negotiated Trans-Pacific Partnership as a framework, which is now the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership, worst trade agreement name ever. And they are, so you're seeing these governments say, okay, well, we need to just, again, let's move on without the U.S. Let's kind of form our own club over here, and using CPTPP as a potential framework.
That is, it's a wild acronym.
Yeah.
If the results of fascism is good, why not? The results of fascism don't tend to be good. That's why. Oh, how the fuck? I tried to sleep earlier. I guess I just fucking passed out on the on the street. Man, I should have played the tutorial. That's dumb though.
TPP was much better.
Yes.
And we were talking before we started filming about who this is going to impact.
Bad results. I mean, I wake up in my bed though. That is the primary reason fascism is bad.
And you mentioned that older people are going to be quite impacted, those who are relying on a fixed income. And you've actually made an argument that there's really no difference between Wall Street and Main Street. So could you walk through that? Like, I feel like a lot of people are like, yeah, like Wall Street's getting what it deserves right now. Like, could you talk through maybe how that's not actually the case?
Yeah, look, I mean, you need to separate.
I hate MAGA. I hate MAGA. It's the most like bullshit. It's just so obvious that, like, yeah, obviously, like, no one. Oh, the stock market isn't a real economy. We're gonna be fucking bullshit progressives now, people. Kill me. Why can't I plant this shit in places? Oh, now I can. Oh, it's just because I'm not close enough. Okay.
Kind of day-to-day fluctuations in the market, and the individuals out there that, hey, God bless them, actually make a living trading every day. The algorithmic.
I'd agree. I'd rather with a lower standard of living in liberal county than a higher standard of living in a fascistic country. Yeah, but no, I understand. No, I agree with that. But I'm saying, like, I consider the obviously, like, I think democracy is, like, generally good. Like, I think there's reason to value that. I just don't how do I phrase this? I like, fundamentally, I would say, like, I value utility, right? Like, that's probably the only thing like fundamentally that I value. and I think democracy is just like usually the best way to like get to that. So like I can understand like saying like I would rather live in a country with a lower standard of living and have freedom to do shit and have freedom of speech, but I consider freedom of speech like a positive, like I consider that to have a positive effect on utility, generally speaking. So like that's the that's the justification there.
Folks, the day traders. Hey, good for you. I don't have the stones for that kind of stuff. I would lose my mind in about 5 seconds. But hey, good. For everybody else though, and over a longer term, and I don't even mean years, I mean months. The fact is that Wall Street's actually a pretty good barometer for the U.S. economy. It tends to, Wall Street, the S&P's performance and other indices tend to track what's going on in the economy, in the real world, right? Whether it's GDP growth or business investment or all sorts of other things.
Fake. Don't you know, Scott? This is all fake too. This is all, you think GDP is real? Don't you know? What's the? I'm trying to. I don't know what the MAGA anti-GDP talking points are going to be. They're going to have, if GDP is negative or even just slow tomorrow, whatever. There's going to be some bullshit. It's going to be the same shit progressives say or whatever. It's going to be like, oh, the quality matter of life and it matters too. And it's like, yeah, dog, obviously, but like, GDP is a relatively good proxy of that.
Or then negatively correlated with unemployment. So, market goes down, unemployment goes up. So these things, I mean, the market actually does kind of tell us where the U.S. economy
has
been.
Just bad because it produces poor living standard conditions. Yeah, well, no, that's what I'm saying. When I say bad outcomes, I don't just mean on living conditions. I mean like on utility. It's also bad because it creates a society with different values than the ones we espouse in liberal-free countries. Truth, nuke.
And is heading. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is there are tens of millions of Americans, and I mean 60+% of all Americans are invested in the stock market. There are pension funds that are dependent. So I mean, even if you don't have a direct, E-Trade account or 401k for your employer, you might have a pension fund that most pension funds are heavily invested in the stock markets. Publicly traded companies there's about 5,000 of them, depending on exactly how you measure it. They have a massive footprint in terms of employment and GDP in their contribution to GDP. So, there's all these different ways that the market actually is the real economy or reflects what's going on in the economy, right? And so we were joking about, which we really shouldn't joke too much. So look, there's a big chunk of the country that is either nearing retirement or in retirement, or they're younger, but they have like a 529 account and a kid in college, right? So, if you have, say, let's say you have 2 college-age kids and you have this big chunk of cash in your 529 account so you can pay tuition, and suddenly your 529 account is down 20%. I mean, that's actually, even that that's a problem. So even younger people can have some exposure there. And so I think it is really just crazy to just say, oh, Wall Street's down, that's good for Main Street, when in reality, it's probably going to be bad for Main Street in the broader kind of macro sense, but it's also going to be bad for tens of millions of people as well. And let's face it, you work in the political space long enough, that it's a lot of CYA in this stuff, right? Just kind of trying to get people off the ledge, because as you surely know, certain market reaction is panic, and so trying to say, remain calm, all is well, even though I think the market is sending pretty clear signals that all is not well.
Well, that tees up perfectly for my last question about the U.S. dollar and what we're seeing there. And, Trump tweeted out this morning on April 21st that Jerome Powell is like a major loser. The market has sold off. The dollar is still trading down. What are you thinking about the moves that you're seeing in the dollar? And the U.S. is like the safe haven. Is that still a thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think we haven't, broken the emergency glass yet, but we're tapping on it. And this is, I think, the most surprising thing about the market reaction is what's happened in treasuries and with the dollar, because typically, and if you had asked me in December about what would happen when Trump implemented tariffs, I would say the dollar would strengthen and you'd probably see, and you would see people flood into treasuries, right? And you're actually seeing the opposite. And that, I think, is a real problem. It's a problem because first, a stronger dollar would mitigate some of the harms, consumer harms of tariffs. Because typically, when you implement tariffs, the domestic currency strengthens for very boring macro reasons. And that can offset some of the consumer harms. Your dollar can go further when you're buying groceries or whatever. When the dollar weakens, it actually is going to amplify the consumer harms. So that's bad for Main Street. And it's also bad for people who are trading in that space, right? But that's a signal that markets and institutional investors think this is fundamentally different, that something in the U.S. is broken and that the U.S. is not a safe haven, and thus that seems to be overwhelming the strengthening aspect. So the dollar, if you were in a world without all these other countervailing considerations, maybe the dollar would be strengthening, and maybe it would be even weaker.
It would be. It's necessarily like it. Oh fucking hell! It's People got mad at people about this on Twitter. Like, it's like necessarily true that like if you import less things and supply less dollars overseas, your currency is going to appreciate. It just happens that right now there's also it's so much uncertainty that people are dumping their dollars because they don't want to hold on to them. But like, if we had this much uncertainty without the tariffs, our currency would be even weaker. The tariffs are still having like an appreciating effect on. Or it's weird to say that, because the tariffs are the cause of the uncertainty. So it's weird to say that the tariffs are still having an appreciating effect on the dollar. But the tariffs themselves are still having an appreciating effect on the dollar. It's just that the uncertainty caused by the tariffs are currently winning out against that. How do I clicked when the exclamation point came up. Do I have to wait for like more? Is it like a... Is there going to be like a big red exclamation point at some point? Is it a good warning? Or do I have to...
But the fact is that because people are exiting the United States, that's why the dollar keeps dropping. And the same seems to be going for treasuries, where people are demanding higher returns on their debt, their purchases of U.S. government debt. And that's also really surprising, because in times of turmoil in the past, the treasuries were where you went, because the U.S. was the safest haven, and now we're seeing that flip. And of course, that's going to be bad for mortgages. And this is again going back to kind of how is the market the real economy? Well, that's going to affect mortgage rates and credit card rates and all this stuff. So I'm not a huge pessimist here. I was actually debating this with Jerusalem Demsis over the Atlantic last week. She's great, but she's like a doomer now. And look, it can maybe make its way back because but the fact is that the way that our laws are structured gives a single person in the White House a massive amount of control or ability to mess up the economy and to try to rewire supply chains and investment patterns and stuff that have been wired.
Oh shit, how do I just have to wait? Do I need bait? I don't have any bait. Did he give me bait?
For 30, 40 years when it comes to things like the NAFTA trade agreement, right? So as long as those laws are on the books in the form they're in, and assuming the courts don't get in here, I mean, I do think it makes sense for why folks have, for the time being, they moved away from the U.S. as a safe haven. Do I think that this is permanently broken? I don't know. I doubt that, but. We're still in like the second inning of a 9-inning game, so I don't want to declare victory or failure that quickly. A lot can happen.
Yeah, it's like less than 100 days.
Yeah, it feels like 100 years, but it's literally April.
Yeah,
so
I know.
There's a lot of time left. And, the U.S. economy does have a lot of institutional street cred in the sense that, there's so many decades of the market bouncing back after a period of time, that the U.S. having a very productive and educated workforce and strong rule of law and all this kind of stuff. So I always try to mention, even as a trade person, look, the United States is one of the least trade-dependent economies on the planet. Trade is a share of our GDP. So you say imports and exports as a share of U.S. GDP, one of the lowest in the world at around 30%. So, there's a lot that can go wrong in the trade environment that won't kill the rest of the economy, right? So for those reasons, you always kind of just say, let's slow down. But of course, do I like what I'm seeing? No, I think it's terrible. I think the policy choices are bad. And I'm certainly going to, on Twitter and elsewhere, note when these bad things are having bad effects. But I'm also cautioning against being hysterical about it, right? If only for strategic reasons. Because if you're hysterical now and then the worst doesn't happen, then people call you crazy for having been so hysterical.
The Nicholas Decker dude, my goat. He has this article. I haven't read it yet. But he seems to think that we pretty greatly underestimate the gains from trade, because there are a bunch of basic trade models that show, reduce GDP by 1 to 8%. Free trade is base. Very true, Admiral Rufus. Very true. But they don't. I think he says technology transfer. It's a pretty big thing. the low estimates are the low estimates are the lower bound for gains from trade. Furthermore, we actually far less confident in our estimates of gains from trade than it may appear. Not to say we don't know the direction of effects. Break the assumption of identical firms and allow them to have varying levels of productivity. When trade becomes possible with another country, we assume that firms face a fixed cost to enter the market at all. As a result, the firms which export are the larger and more efficient ones, and as trade becomes freer and businesses reallocated to the more efficient one, what those people do is show that so long as there is a Pareto distribution of firms by productivity, the gains from trade can be completely found from the share spent on imports and the elasticity of these imports with respect to trade cost. We can abstract away from the microeconomic organization of firms entirely. All that matters is the very easily obtained macroeconomic aggregates. But this small estimate doesn't line up with the all that great with actually observed gains from trade. It turns out those estimates absolutely, positively require Pareto distribution of firm productivities. In other words, firms draw from a distribution which gets thinner and thinner as it increases. If you break this, the results change dramatically. Those people show this sensitivity with with simple examples and arrive at least 4 times as high ACRC. Oh, as in the earlier study. He also has one about immigration as well, which I think I might eventually do more reading on immigration shit. I need to know. I know there's quite a few good fact sheets. I think the SOCDM fact sheet has stuff in it. SDL's fact sheet has stuff in it. I think I have other I think Unlearning Economics and Vosh have their fact sheet with stuff on immigration, and I might read through some of that and take notes on it. I need to do that at some point.
So I try to keep it together as much as possible, but it doesn't look great.
No, it's super. It's almost like stupid. That's the hardest part. Is it just feels like we're running our head into a wall.
Yeah.
In the next, so this will be my actual final question. But like in the next 100 days, like what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think we're going to get some deals.
Okay,
there have to be. So sure. The Trump administration has to show some sort of progress here. I think that if it's July and there's not a single deal announced, I mean we're in trouble. It's a huge problem for them and for us, quite frankly. And I think that some governments, there's a big first mover advantage here, right? You can probably get the best deal if you're one of the first to sign on the dotted line, even though Trump might rip up whatever you sign, even though you're going to have to make some pretty painful political concessions.
That's what's going to be really, I found out what the D-drama is and I hate it. I regret everything. What is it? Just what I was saying earlier about like, it's just he's associated with someone who did microaggressions to a panel of black debaters or whatever. I'm very curious what it is. I'm very curious. If you have something you can link on it, you can send it in Discord now. I'm curious.
Incentive on both sides to come to some sort of deal. Now, do I think there's going to be amazing deals that are really comprehensive and broad and covering all sorts of stuff like our traditional trade agreements? No. But are we going to have something that will eliminate some U.S. tariffs, solidify relations with some of our closest trading partners, like Japan being one of the obvious examples? Yeah, I think we will get there. But there's no way we're going to get all these deals done. There's no way that a lot of these tariffs aren't going to stick around. I think at the very least, we're going to see that baseline 10% thing stick around for almost everybody. And we're still going to have tons of other known unknowns, right? Where's the semiconductor investigation and the lumber one and the copper one? I mentioned all these others. So I think those are going to be starting to wrap up. I know they're trying to move really quickly. Typically those take 6 months, but I think they're going to really push fast because let's face it, these are all being reverse engineered. It's not like we know that tariffs are coming. They just have to provide a paper trail. So that's coming too. So are we in a better spot in 100 days? I don't know, but I think there are some things that are pretty clear as far as the policy minutia, right? The way I've said it is I expect market chop for a long while, right? Just it's going to be a roller coaster, and as I said to you before we started, I'm just glad I'm not retiring anytime too soon because I don't have to look at my 401k and sweat.
Yeah, long time horizon is definitely like the best asset right now.
For you kids out there.
Yeah, hang tight.
Close your eyes.
Right. Oh, thank you so much, Scott. This was super helpful. I'll make sure to link your Twitter and all your work in the description box below so people can follow you, because you've been definitely one of the people I've learned the most from over the past couple of months. So thank you for all the hard work.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Scott, what the fuck? Scott is my goat. Scott is my goat. He probably has dumb welfare takes, but where's the? I feel like I had that in here. Might not have. Carney? What about Carney? Economy W? Very true. Very true. It will be. I saw on Twitter, Carney does actually like fucking NGDP targeting. Dude, if Canada does any NGDP targeting, that'd be fucking insane. That'd be because I think they would be the first country to officially do it. Now, I don't know if I don't know if he even has the power to really do that. I don't know how the monetary framework is like set in Canada, but I'm doing a review on Breeze.
Howdy.
Localist, is this you? Is this you behind
And I'm going to do a review on the Breeze. And this is called Candy Cane. Oh, it's nice and smooth.
I wouldn't doubt it.
This is a real good flavor. I really like this flavor a lot.
Me hitting my anxiety pen.
Let me see if I can taste the candy. I definitely taste the candy.
Bro, it's her anxiety pen. So she definitely tastes the candy, really.
I really like this.
She's not even
My next one is called...
Well, listen, she doesn't have to. She's just got to get a little bit of flavor in her mouth, okay? She can't inhale too much. Her lungs can't take that much, bro. She looks like fucking at least 50 years old. How's it possible she makes such simple lines sound so scripted? It's spread out between a bunch of different videos and a bunch of different places because TikTok is cursed. Very true. The main thing is that the manager of the Unfuck America tour was rude to people trying to critique her. Yeah, crazy. It was the allegation I heard is that she was doing microaggressions. Like, what does being rude mean? I want to know. I need to know. I want to know what she said. I don't know. I couldn't find it on TikTok. I wonder if I could. Is there drama on Twitter? What the fuck? God, I hate modern TikTok. The Unfuck America tour is cringe. What? I like it. I like it. My vape queen. Does everyone know who this is except for me? I've never seen this girl before. She's got 145k subscribers now.
What's up, everybody? I'm back to do a review, and I'm going to do a review on the Geek Bar Sour Blue Dust. And I'm going to open this.
Wait, stop. Hey, Z, before you go.
Oh my God.
Before you
the
go.
Support. It's great. It's great to see that the left is finally coming together.
Hey, I wasn't done speaking. I apologize, Z.
This is another way to
I want to make sure. No, Z, I want to hear from them. This is their campaign. This is their thing. I would love to hear from you, Z, but I was in the middle of speaking, and I'm actually going to put myself back on big screen, so there's no confusion. Sorry about that. All right, so just to
Which one is the manager?
clarify once again. Want y'all to come up here, speak your piece and everything and all that, right? We'll try to be guys respectful and everything. And I'm really not liking the fact that in the comments, it's like suddenly you guys forgot why we were having this conversation. It's not the fact that this is going to be hosted. It's whether it's going to be a net negative or whether it's going to be.
bottom right.
quote unquote harmful or more positive. That is the entire point of the conversation. We're not saying don't have it. We're not saying don't have a tour. We're not saying that we disagree with the tour, right? I think it's great. I think it's going to be funny. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some great things that are going to be talked about. But the conversation is also about how marginalized people are going to possibly experience, like what they're going to experience after the tour, or what's actually going to be happening during the tour. You guys aren't actually listening to us, and that is the issue. You guys are actively making it. You guys are putting words in our mouth when we've been very clear and particular about what we've been trying to say.
But when you say,
see, I wasn't talking about you.
I will fucking holler. Shut up.
I wasn't talking about you. I was just saying other people in the comments. I don't think you said shit about like me or anything.
Sorry, I think it's happening again. Where when we say these two white boys at the front, people's cognitive dissonance goes, I don't know what you're saying.
Right, so they make it seem like we're talking shit about them. Exactly.
They genuinely think that like we. Why are you talking? We're not talking to you.
Okay, like Shane's been quiet this entire time. I don't understand why you can't do the same.
This is real.
Okay, and Shane, Shane, technically Z, before you go, Shane has been here first, so I would love to hear from them.
I do not mind waiting. I do not mind waiting because I would rather let it marinate, and I would like to say something to speak.
It's a 5-hour thing too, Jesus. Although they only start the critique at 2 hours 6 minutes. You need to use your privilege. I need to use my privilege to elevate marginalized voices. This is true. This is true. I don't think I have any. I don't have any. I don't even have any woman orbiters. I say orbiters. I just mean people who join my stream occasionally. They're all white men. I guess Ness. Yo!
Why can't we ever do anything without cannibalizing each other, XD?
Thanks for the 100 bits, Bubby. Hell fucking yeah, I appreciate it. I don't know, man. The TikTok generation, okay? You just need 1 or 2 hot chicks you can drag and stream for the views and also put them in thumbnails. Very true. I think the Rob Noor debate with Zeta in it. Dude, I love that shit. I don't know if I put her in a thumbnail. I didn't put her in a thumbnail when I put her. Well, I did put her in other sectors. I'm using. I need to shoot for every video, man. That's what I need. See if she wants to collab Xena? I don't know if Xena Xena's way bigger than I am. I mean, I talked to her, when we was hanging out with Darius or whatever a few times. Xena's not streaming or anything. I don't know how down Xena would be to just collab. I mean, if she wants to, I'll have a Black Queen on my stream. We all know that I love supporting marginalized voices, and as a white man, I have a duty to. But to bomb the nuclear facilities is we Israel. I haven't kept up any of that shit. I can't wait. I can't wait till we have 5% tariffs on everyone after everything escalates, and we have war for Iran, and after the Houthi shit escalates, and we have. Can't wait. U.S. Israel. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is. I want us the clean cut charm of a boy band frontman. True. Never spoken to her, but I'll make it happen. You really, I feel like, Xena, whatever this man sends you, I do not condone. It is his opinion. It is not mine. Okay. Glad we got that clip. Okay. Oh, also, James Fishback and that other dude, Anthony Pomp. I forget his full last name. It's like Anthony Pomp fucking Pillow or something. If either of you guys want to come and stream, or here's the real challenge, okay? If I ever go, you guys should reach out to me and set something up with Tim Pool. That'd be nice. That's what I need. I need that Anthony Pomp guy to fucking see one of my tweets one day and then reach out to Tim Pool. Yeah, this fucking dude, this dumbass. Liano. God, I hate this dude. I hate this dude so much.
Anything you hear, and only half.
This is so funny too. That I don't even disagree with them really, but like every conservative believes in vibe sessions now. It's like consumer sentiment is falling, but like I from the stuff I've seen, spending has fallen a little bit. We're just looking at the spending component of GDP now that's fallen. But all these conservatives believe in vibe sessions. Be nice to the next Fed chair, I will leave the country. Yeah, I really it seems like it's fallen a little bit since it was growing at a pretty steady pace, and now it doesn't seem to be as much. Yeah, consumer sentiment. But it's just funny that all these they believe in vibe sessions now. Like under Biden, this dude was probably citing consumer sentiment all the time and not looking at hard data. But now now they're all so happy to only look at the hard data and not any of the soft data. And I don't even think it's wrong to do that. I don't think it's wrong, I think it is. And it's fair under Biden too to say like it's probably stupid to look at only the hard data or whatever and not, care about people's concerns. But like Tim Pool is retarded. Very true. Localist banned Federal Reserve. Who has that Twitch account? Fuck the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is goated. But yeah, that dude, kill me. Polish the Fed, so true. God, we will. Bring me back to gold standard, dude. I'm worried that we're gonna be like 5 months from now. Probably, I think it's more than that. A year from now, whenever Powell's term is up, there's gonna be actual Gibbs is gonna host a panel, and it's gonna be, is the gold standard good? And that's gonna be the level of arguments that we're gonna devolve back to. So I know how many times have I said that we're gonna start reading Charles Goodhart? I didn't read Charles Goodhart, but what I did do was use brain rot to, it's done May 25th or something next year, yeah. To upload some of the PDFs I have. Hold on, I'm on the wrong account. It would be like 3 free things a day, but I have 20 Google accounts, so I just switched Google accounts. And I have these fucking. I think it's this one that I uploaded. Yeah, our central bank's necessary. This video is awesome.
What the fuck is this whole central bank ordeal? Banks running on deposits, redeem.
It's like I haven't read the full thing yet, but like it seems like it got the general message. It's just I don't know. It seems a little confused.
Into real money, and if the shit hits the fan, bam, panic runs on banks. The idea that if you just know the real market value of bank assets all the time, you could stop the panic. Bullshit. The assets are often loans to shady fuckers with info buried deep. How the fuck can you know their value constantly?
Like this is, yeah, talking about the like information asymmetry thing that I am pretty sure is here. I don't know. I can't like Control F find it because he's adds a bunch of swear words in, but
Those proposals like marking to market every goddamn day and forcing recapitalization before insolvency sound neat, but those loans don't have neat little prices. They're like ticking time bombs. Banks don't just hold safe shit, they lend to risky motherfuckers who can't access capital markets. They're middlemen taking the gamble because no one else
into actual value.
well, restricting assets to safe government bonds, then they wouldn't be.
I miss anything important? Not
Banks.
really.
Information asymmetry pisses me off.
Brother.
Banks know more about risky loans than depositors or regulators. Depositors can't tell if the bank's worth shit or about to collapse. Since depositors panic when fearing loss, runs happen on pure fear and rumors, not just monetary panic but the unknown.
How to make easy money on the internet.
With withdrawals on a first-come, first-served basis. Limiting withdrawals could help.
Just finished my deep dive into the border wall. We've moved past border wall. Sometimes the border wall comes up, I guess.
/ and then I'm gonna click next.
This is 7 years ago. Is he just filling out an unemployment insurance form? That's what this looks like. It's food stamps form.
And then check the box that says you read everything.
My new hyperfixation.
Tell it how old you are.
Okay, I don't know if I... Tell me when a drama slop tuber uploads shit about the Dean thing and I'll watch more of it maybe, but... Jesus. By the way, I think Dean tweeted that Charlie Kirk agreed to do a 1v1 of him. Are they still doing that? I don't care about Teresa. I don't know if I check it. I don't.
Hello guys, I'm sitting in the backyard out here. I'm having my vape right now. What did I had
for
when I got
YouTube? It only works in TikTok. Your telephone game cancellation form, probably.
up in the morning? I had a cup of coffee. Then I had a salad. Then I had spaghetti. Then I took my dog out. And then I just got done eating fried pickles.
This is so stupid.
So I really love fried pickles. Do I have an air fryer? No, I don't.
Air fryer?
I wish I did, but I don't have an air fryer. Yeah, it's a beautiful day today. I think it's in the 50s. Oh, and by the way, happy leap year.
That's a good one. Hold on, I gotta save this. I think we have what the fuck? Oh, speaking of Xena, I click on my Discord. That just send the video on my server. Speaking of Xena, what the fuck? Xena says Darius IRL caught a STD, or maybe not for the what the fuck?
Period.
A 51-minute video? Jesus, these people are no offense. People look crazy. People look crazy. Straight pride. Is this even the straight? I thought the straight pride flag was just the black and white. Black and white thing. People do look gay though. Okay, I'm so glad.
Hey.
I'm so glad.
Everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having
so poorly, okay? And like the regular normal people. Although I think Lewis Rodman has made a little bit, some political videos before or whatever, but like yeah, because he made that video about being mad when Destiny baited him for Jordan Peterson conversation. And it was just a fucking Keffel's manifesto. That shit was funny. I didn't like doesn't like Twitch doesn't like when you say straight pride. Can you believe it? Wokeness. I did not mean to click on my Hello Kitty overlay. Ignore that. I'm so glad. Regular, ordinary, and so many ordinary people are anti-tariff. Okay, I'm so glad it is not working out well, and we have stuff like this explaining why tariffs are bad. I'm so happy.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. This is a follow-up on the video that I did on tariffs. I'm very surprised because from reading the comments, it looks like about 50 or 60% of the people actually listened to what I said in the video. I put very, very detailed timestamps that go over exactly where I discuss every single point that I knew somebody was going to bring up. I would say half of the people actually listen. Which again, it is YouTube, so that did surprise me. And today I wanted to read a post from the Letters to Lewis channel in my Discord that went over one story that just kind of punched me in the gut. In your video, you mentioned the little guy. Well, I work on an open source hardware project. I've spent the past year and change making it more economical to get it machine assembled to reduce the price because a large majority of the cost of just buying one from someone was that it required so much hand assembly. I figured out the pricing, found suppliers, etc., and started taking pre-orders so I could get a decent quantity discount on the pricing in an attempt to hit my target selling price. As the pre-orders came in, I purchased the important parts that frequently went out of stock so that once I had enough, I could just put in the production order without having to wait for components. I just finished validating the design at the start of this month, which as you know is right when the tariffs hit. I would now have to lose over $50 per order to fulfill them, and I can't refund people because they spent the money on the components already. Here are the actual numbers on the cost of the PCB assembly service, and most of the components on those boards pre and post tariff. Pre-tariff total, $7,391.12. Post-tariff total, $18,762.94. Those prices are not all inclusive. Some stuff I have here already, others are from another supplier, but that's the bulk of the cost. To make it worse, the quantity and order volume I used to price things assumed that I used the entire margin plus my own money to actually place the order, as I was banking on the idea that once I had stock, more people would buy it than when there was a pre-order. I was asked by a few, why don't you just get it made in the USA then? The answer to this is actually pretty simple. While most other businesses, news outlets, content creators have made guesses about this, about how much it would cost to build, say, a phone or a computer in the USA, I don't work with cutting-edge technology. My product uses an 8-bit microcontroller, and quite a few of my components are even made in the USA, and most, by cost of them, don't come from China. They come from Malaysia, Singapore, etc. This means that I don't have to theorize or try to guess how much it would cost to do at least more of it in the United States. I can literally check because there are factories already in the United States that do this kind of work. In fact, I checked on this before the tariff situation ever happened, as I thought it would be cool to have it made in the USA. To get a run of PCBs for this project, no assembly, no components, just the PCBs, it would cost $20,770 plus shipping. That is $20,000 US just for the PCBs. I'd still need to buy the components and have the PCBs assembled, which remember, I just said the assembled boards with components from China were under $19,000 with the tariffs. That means I would need to charge people more than the cost of getting a new mid-tier gaming computer for something with an 8-bit microcontroller. Who would buy that? No one. That's who. It was already a tough sale at $230. I'm trying to get the price down to $150 or less, and now with the tariffs, I'd have to sell it for $390, assuming I get hit with the relatively more favorable 145% tariff. If I instead have to pay the 175% tariff, I would need to charge $430. Nobody would buy that. I'm just a maker. I don't do this for a living. I give the designs for most of my stuff away for free to anyone who wants them. The money I made off of this would be to use to buy equipment to cover the cost of prototyping new boards, projects, revisions, etc., and for components and such. However, someday this could have turned into much more, but now it seems like I just have to stop and give up. I feel really bad for the people who ordered from me, because now I can't deliver the thing I promised them, and I can't refund them with money I don't have. The only thing I can do is ask for their patience and hope the tariffs go away. While they seem to be understanding for now, I'm not sure how long that will last.
Don't worry. I'm sure we'll get a great deal from China, or though he said some of it's from Malaysia. I don't know. Maybe Malaysia is really looking to come to the table, bro.
Also, me saying people won't pay isn't a guess. I raised the prices on my site as soon as the tariffs were announced, and I haven't had a single order since, not even for the stuff I have in stock. The first few things I want to go over. In the comments of the video that I did, there were people saying, I'd pay more. And one of the things that I said in my video is, no, you won't. I have enough experience with customers when I'm selling them something that costs $200 to $300 as to, and I listen to the haggling and the back and forth I have with them to know that they are not going to purchase an inferior product for $1,700. And this gentleman, who did not raise his price by 500% or 600%, but raised his price by 1 or 200%, is noticing that he has 0 sales. Now, there is the elephant in the room that I have to mention as somebody who does consumer advocacy. You can't bill people for stuff that you don't have yet and expect it to go well. You shouldn't do that. And if you're going to bill people for stuff you don't have yet, you have to have the money aside to refund them in case things go wrong. Not having the money aside to refund people. If you're not,
buddy, I'm done streaming and just wanted you to get to view. Thanks. Well, I appreciate it, Tyler. Hell yeah. I don't know if he still has me muted, but everyone should treat me as nice as Tyler does. Okay. Yep. Easy exercising elasticity. This antidote. True.
able to provide them with the stuff that you don't have.
People, there's also that really, there's that story of the, I forget what was the name of it. The fucking suit guy in Twitter has a good thread about it. About like there was a clothing company that like sold basically identical products, and like one of them was made in China for like $3 less than the one made in America, and everyone bought the one made in China. I wonder if I could find it.
It's not Trump's fault. It's not Congress's fault. It's on you. Because again, the people are going to bring that up, and that's a 100% fair criticism. You can't do business like that. At the same time,
fuck, I forget. There's a subreddit for Made in USA. Oh, I bet that subreddit is fucking banging right now. When did America close versus Chinese close? I don't know what to. Oh, is it this? No. Fuck. One of my econ bros has to have it fucking bookmarked or something. I can probably find it. Hold on. What's the Made in the USA subreddit looking like right now? Let's just do top like this year. Truth. America loses $1 trillion a year by buying overseas. Time to bring back American manufacturing. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Matter what it is, probably cheaper and superior. Probably cheaper and superior in quality. Yeah. Well, that's what. Also, that's what I hate. By the way, is that everyone tries to say, "Oh, Made in America is." That means quality goods. Stuff used to last longer. And it's like, brother, consumers have made the choice, okay? They have made the choice to buy the cheap plastic crap from China, okay? They don't care. There might be a little bit of truth to some of the planned obsolescence stuff. But that would apply to Made in America goods too. Plenty of like companies in America would have started doing, and companies in America currently do planned obsolescence things. I'm sure the washing machines made in America have some, planned obsolescence elements to them or whatever. Oh, thank God, the top comment on this Reddit post is a smart person. I have a trade-ups with my dentist. I pay him lots of money. He never gives me any, but his services allow me to have a wealthy and prosperous life. Trade-ups on their own are not a useful issue at all. And you need to unpack what you get out of them and whether, as a whole, they are materially beneficial. Wow. Spread a Venn diagram. People who talk about trade-ups, people actually understand economics just use two circles that don't overlap. Very true. By the way, I always say this. I always say I'm working on a blog post and then nothing comes out of it. I'm working, okay, on the balance of payments blog post, okay? That is coming, and part of that, I think the way I want to do that, the balance of payments blog post is probably actually going to be 3 or 4 blog posts. And one of them is going to be a little bit about the trade deficit. And one of them is, I think one of them is going to be, which by the way, I still don't know I still don't know the full answer to this. Why net capital inflows are necessarily equal to the trade deficit, except I've been told, except there's 2 articles I've read that said there's asterisk, I can't pronounce that word, with investment income, and I don't know what, like, I need to figure out what those are. I need to, but I don't know how to do that. I tried asking ChatGPT, it did not really help me, and I think Krugman's textbook might go over it, so I need to read that. And then one I wanna have a blog post about just which I need to do more reading on this too. Kind of the relative importance of like America's demand for foreign products versus foreign demand for investment in America when it comes to the trade deficit. Because if foreigners just want to invest a ton in America, we'll end up running a trade deficit. Because like I said earlier, net capital inflows necessarily equals a trade deficit. So. If we just have a ton of people wanting to invest in us, we'll end up running a trade deficit.
When people are asking, why don't you have this done in America? Why don't you have it made in America? He is making it very clear why he will not, because if he does, you will not buy it. 0 people have purchased this product. And in the video that I did, where again, like 50% of the people went and actually listened to the points that I had, and one of the things that many people were saying is, this is just because you're buying stuff from China. You're complaining because you're doing that. I'm a repair person. So we don't have to think about the chicken versus the egg here as a repair person, because it's very obvious. The customer came first. You had to buy something in order for me to exist to fix it. So why do you think I'm buying parts from China? Because you bought something you want me to fix from China. Now, if you are using a cell phone that's manufactured in America, your computer is manufactured in America, your camera and your monitor and everything that you are asking me to fix is manufactured in America, I got nothing to say there. But if you are using something that was manufactured in this other country, and you're asking me to fix something that was manufactured in that other country, and then you try to pull that, well, you're just complaining because you could have made it in America. That was the most shit tier comment that I noticed, not just on my video, but on several of Andy's videos as well, where they're like, well, you should have just got the part in America. I am buying parts from China to fix things that you bought that were made in China. If you bought something that was made in North Carolina, perhaps I'd be buying my parts from North Carolina. If you bought a smartphone that was made in Austin, Texas, I would buy parts from Austin, Texas. If you bought an audio interface that was made in Brookfield, Wisconsin, I'd be buying parts from Brookfield, Wisconsin. But that's not what you bought. You bought stuff that's made in China, which is
also, there were just, he might go over this in a longer video, which we might watch that too, honestly. I don't know. I got nothing to do today. Believe it or not, guys, there are just benefits from economies of scale, and there are just benefits from countries with relatively more labor to specialize in labor-intensive tasks. Believe it or not, if a country has a lot of labor, it's actually pretty beneficial for them to specialize in goods, and, producing these microchips that take a lot of labor. And if you're a country that has a lot of capital, like the U.S., there are benefits to specializing in capital-intensive industries. Believe it or not, and there are benefits for economies of scale. They're, if they, like part of the part of the reason that all the semiconductor shit is made in Taiwan is because they benefit from economies of scale. They benefit from having all their fixed costs, built out in one place and being able to export to the entire world market. Like, yeah. Although I'm sure they also have patents and stuff, which I'm sure that's part of it. But part of it is economies of scale, okay?
Andy and myself and everybody else buy parts for that device made in China from China. So I thought I'd read you an email from one of my suppliers about this. Regarding this piece, our margin will be less than 12% at $250 each with current tariffs. You can sell it at $330 to $350. Your sale number may slightly drop at beginning. However, it will go back and grow because end user will buy it where else and learn that product quality is not great. They don't want to pay $700 to $900 for Metcal, Hacko, Weller, JBC. When you look at that language, that's not the language of somebody who is talking about the tariffs being high and lowering the price after the tariff is over. That's the language of somebody that realizes that their product is worth more than they were ever selling it for, that realizes that every other brand is way more expensive for less quality, that is going to keep that price there from now until the end of time. So I've raised my price accordingly. I have to pay to get that item shipped to me. I have to pay to get that item shipped to you. I have to pay all the import and every other cost. When the tariff goes back down, the price of this product that I'm purchasing is not going to go back down. Because all these vendors are waking up to the fact of what this gentleman said over here, that they were offering the entire thing for $7,400, and in America, you would have to pay $20,000 just for the PCB.
Do I just have to wait longer? I don't know when these are ready to be harvested.
So even when you have a 140 or 170% tariff, it is still cheaper, faster, more efficient, and better quality to have it done somewhere else. And again, this comes back to what I said in the last video. that 50% of you listen to. If there was some sort of plan here where they said, okay, you know what? You want to get this stuff done in America? Here is the loan program we're going to provide you with. Here is the support we're going to provide you with so that this thing that hasn't been done really well for 30 or 40 years can get jump-started. We have a plan. If there was anything besides simply a tariff, you'd have a plan. When you have a tariff with nothing else there, that's not a plan. And, you know, it's kind of like one of the comments that I got that was also crazy. It was, well, at least he's doing something. Let's say that you have a device that's at the Apple store, right? And let's say that it's there for data recovery. And it's just sitting on a shelf because Apple doesn't do data recovery. Now, there are 3 possible things you could do. You could take it out of the Apple store and bring it to me, and I get your data back. That's a positive change. You can keep it at the Apple store. It stays on the shelf. They don't touch it. It's staying the same. Or you can take it to BlackBerry the cat. And BlackBerry the cat will take your device. She'll push it off the table. It will get dropped, and then the platters of your open hard drive will shatter to bits and pieces that will never have the data recovered. You see, just doing something, if you're making things better, that's good. If you're doing something and you're making things worse with no plan, that's bad. If I take your stuff and I drop it off of a table, that is considerably worse than if it sat on a shelf at the Genius Bar doing nothing. You can actually do worse than going to the Apple Store Genius Bar. It is possible, in spite of what I've said on this channel over and over again. There are worse options. You can always make something worse. That's for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. My price is going up, and it's not coming back down. And that price gets passed on to all you. Because it sure as shit is not.
Why? I just need to introduce myself to like fucking 20 more people. Other shit is closed though.
Getting passed on to BlackBerry.
Wow. Silver lining of all this trade and tariff shenanigans resulting in price hikes for electronics is it may actually cause the worst fear of tech manufacturers to come to pass. People slowing down on purchases of electronics they don't need. Most computers manufactured within the past decade are still powerful enough to handle modern processing requirements. And I mean, I don't know. I got a decent PC that was built not a fucking decade ago. That was built when I've continuously kind of upgraded it, but like 3 years ago, maybe was the last major upgrade. 2 years ago. I don't know. Like I can't. Like I was talking about this earlier. Like I probably couldn't really stream the Oblivion remaster because my PC just probably couldn't handle the Oblivion game and OBS at the same time. Isaac, are you here? What is this? What is this? He sent me this.
Hey everyone, I just want to post a quick update about the Unfuck America tour.
Oh no.
So many other creators have posted videos and gone live going over all this information, so I will try to keep it brief. A few days before the first stop at Texas A&M, the organizer of the tour used racist microaggressions on a TikTok live panel. One of the creators...
Oh, kill me, dude. Dude, I like Dan, too. Dude, Dan's goated. Dude, I love Dan. Dude, Dan, I still love you. Dan, collab with me. Hop on my stream, Dan.
On the tour intentionally misled the rest of us into believing there was a consensus among the black creators on the tour not to address this publicly because it was being handled internally.
Hearing there was a microaggression, I think, actually made me more right. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's become clear that not only was this not being handled internally, but several additional serious issues and lies have come to light over the past 48 hours.
I don't even know. I got linked the video. The video, you can go to general my server and Catrix linked the video. I don't even really know.
Wait, stop.
It's fucking ridiculous for your... I mean, you know what? I think it's fucking ridiculous for you, a white woman, to tell me, a black woman who has done several organizations for black communities, for people of color, for houseless people.
Hours. Most of the creators, myself included, are no longer working with the National Ground Game Pack and will no longer be participating in the tour. However, that does not mean we're done fighting. What took place at Texas A&M last week was powerful. Creators from different races,
talking to other people and telling other people how they don't know how to organize.
Ethnicities.
It was that? Kill me now. No, I don't think that, because this isn't the person talking. This isn't
houseless woman who has done several organizations.
This is the I think this is one of the black women speaking, right? This isn't the organizer that they don't like speaking.
Ages,
That isn't the person doing the microaggression.
Religions, genders, and sexual orientations showed up and showed out to combat misinformation and advocate for human rights and against fascism. We are currently looking into future events where we can meet potential voters where they are.
I'm a potential voter. Dan, meet me on my stream. Let's do a podcast.
Continue this grassroots movement. Thank you all so much for your support, and I hope you all have a great night.
Okay, thanks
Hey,
TikTok
everyone.
for fucking
Actually-
auto-scrolling.
Hey everyone.
Dog. The microaggression really was just talking over people.
Wait, stop. Hey,
Hey,
before you making
We
that very
literally
clear for the
disagree with
longest
each other on this
time.
topic. I just need to say this really quickly because it's genuinely agitating me. We literally disagree with each other on this topic on how to go about this. I think
Honestly, not if there was something, or not sure if there's something going on that I can't pick up on because not a black or a woman, or if it's just nonsense. I think it's just wokeness has gone too far. Wokeness finally went too far. By the way, maybe I'm being mean. Have we done cocaine? No, I've not. Welcome back, Lazy. Did any of these women vote for Kamala? They might have, but it would absolutely not surprise me if all of these women, or the majority of these women, are too far left to vote for Kamala, and they all vote a Green Party or something. Like, Dean should tactically drop the N word. He should. That's what. Okay. Unironically, if Dean did that, I don't know. At this point, I don't know if I would be super critical of that move. Okay, because if Dean wanted to purge the ultra wokey, or well, N word's a little far to purge. You know, just the ultra wokey. Like, it'd be like, I understand exactly. It'd be like I get it. Like, if you want to like audience condition, just have like these people like who it's don't do that, Isaac. To have like some people unfollow you that you don't want following you. I'd be like, I can understand it. I can understand it. I'd be sympathetic to it, I would say.
Say that it is harassment. It makes leftist movements be more of a nuisance. And then again, the way that you described it here, Hannah, you're not doing this to actually help anyone. What you're doing this because you want to help Democrats. You're doing this because you want to get people to vote for Democrats, and you want to vote for a particular. Is that not what you just said?
No, I didn't even vote for a Democrat this time around. So
I vindicated. I knew it.
No. That's not what I'm saying. Well, okay, maybe not Democrats, but you want people to get out and vote, right? So you don't actually really care about any kind of the message that is actually being sent. You just want for younger people to get out and vote.
Someone on the panel at the start sounded supportive of Dean, had normal activist position of white men being useful when debating rightoids.
What we
So
on
it's a
this
mixed
panel,
group.
and
Okay.
I would say, at least for me, and I hope for the rest of the panel as well, is the outcome for people like us when these type of movements are amplified and carried out in this way. Because Dean and Parker are not going to be affected by the harassment of the people at these universities, or Charlie Kirk's audience, or anyone like that. You're not going to be harassed by these people. It is going to be people like Mermaid. It's going to be people like Erica, Conscious Lee, Santana. These are going to.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like the people actually like debating these people and like doing the whole tour.
Hey, everybody, how's it going? Hope
way more likely to get fucking harassed. I don't know. I see, like, if open fucking Twitter and look at conservatives spamming the image of the four of them together. It was edited with the fucking gag ball in their mouth and shit, and gimp suits on it. Like, look at these gay fucking woke twink. Like, they get a fuck ton of harassment. I don't know. Like, I don't I don't know, man. More of a struggle session than a panel. Makes sense. Why am I tired? Straight white cis man solidarity. I stand with Dean and Parker. Okay. They can do no wrong. The only thing they do wrong is being too apologetic to the people who say they're wrong. Okay. That's the only mistake. The only mistake they make is thinking that they made a mistake. Okay. Oh, I can't swing. How do I swing? Can I just sit on it? I can't actually swing. Fuck this. Space doesn't do anything. WASD don't do anything. Click just makes me jump off.
Do you get normal people to care about this or understand it? Usually when they watch the news or turn on the television, they see these rich CEOs or even average business owners talking about these issues, and they go, oh yeah, QQ, cry me a river business owner who's bitching about the fact that you make less money. And I think that it's an important thing to go over. When you look at a lot of the people that Steve talked to, these are people that have made more money in a single year than I will make over the course of my natural life. I could keep working from now until the age of 90, and I'm not going to have as much in the bank as the CEO of Corsair makes in 1 year. To be clear, I'm not saying he didn't earn it. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I don't know one way or the other. I don't keep up with PC Parts or the companies involved. I don't know this guy from a hole in the wall. The point is, this guy makes more money than pretty much everybody in my audience. I'm going to take a wild guess at that. When you look at the compensation, you could read through a lot of their proxy statements and see for yourself. I could.
How much? 9 million a year? I get at least 12. So.
Work until the end of my life, I will not have as much money in my bank account as this man does after 1 year. And the problem here is that when you watch the news, what they do is they tell the stories of people who are public, of people who are rich, of people who are prominent. They don't really do a good job of telling the stories of average everyday people. And I think that that's a big problem. Even myself, there are a lot of comments out there saying, yeah, cry me a river, man, that has a 2,000 square foot house. You are rich. And here's the sad thing. A lot of people were pushing back on the people that would say stuff like that. Like Lewis ain't rich because he has a 200,000 square foot fixer upper house with builder grade windows that are falling apart because the mortar work on this entire effing house was allowing water to seep in, which caused my way. This house is a clusterfuck. I'll leave it at that. But here's the sad thing. In America, when you look at the statistics, when you look at what average people have in the bank, when you hear things like I forget the exact percentage, but more than it should be, don't have enough money in their bank account to cover a $1,000 emergency.
Oh no. I was worried he's going to cite paycheck to paycheck, but he cited the other. Although I think he said 1,000. I think usually the line is 60% of people don't have enough to afford a $400 emergency expense, which is not really true. I think that's another one of those marketing surveys versus actual. Federal Reserve data shows that seems like most people probably do have that. Or actually, no, wasn't it that might actually be, hold on, I'm trying to remember. Hold on, I need to remember. I know the econ slop. I think that question is actually in the Federal Reserve survey, and I think it is, I remember. It's the amount of people who would like choose to cover that $400 expense with cash, or like a cash equivalent, versus like, putting it on their credit card or getting a payday loan or selling something. And so like, putting a $400 expense on your credit card doesn't necessarily like show that you can't afford it. Or maybe can't afford is the right word. It just means that, you can't afford it right now. You have to put it on your credit card and wait to pay that off or whatever. Getting a payday loan is obviously more extreme. Than selling something. Actually, selling something is probably better than getting a payday loan. Payday loans are pretty bad. But yeah, I remember the econ slop. Okay. I don't know. $1,000 expense. I think that they ask $400 expense. $1,000 expense. Most people probably would not be able to afford. I would imagine. I would guess. I don't know.
I am rich, even if I do have a fixer-upper house. I got $80K in retirement. If I didn't have income for 2 years, I'm probably fine. By year 3 or 4, I'm really uncomfortable with that and probably got to figure something out. But the point is, I'm not rich by my standard. I don't feel rich. Rich to me is I don't got to work for the next 10 years. Rich to me is I buy a house that has proper windows and fucking mortar work to begin with. But I understand and I appreciate that I'm better off than a lot of Americans. I understand that. So even when I talk about these issues, the people in my audience, the great majority that do not have $1,000 in the bank to deal with a serious emergency, they're going to look at this and say, QQ, cry me a river, man that has his own business and has 80K. It must be nice to have 80,000 in your 401k. The fact that I could be considered rich the way that I am right now, personally, I think that that is a sad commentary on the state of American society and the economy in general. And that in and of itself could be a 3 to 10 hour video. So we're not going to get into that right now. If you want average everyday people to care, you got to start telling the story of the little guy. And the problem is that nobody gives a fuck about the little guy. And once a big guy becomes the big guy, they forget what it was like to be the little guy and they don't care about him anymore. You got to tell those people's stories. And if you're not telling those people's stories enough and doing it properly and looking for those stories, then you can't be surprised when normal average everyday people wind up saying shit like, I'm not listening to you, or you're just another story where you're just mad at Orange Man. Tell the stories of the little guy. Tell stories that resonate with average everyday people. I guarantee you, there are small business owners that are where I was when I was working out of a park and living in an apartment filled with termites and had $200 in my bank account that are 10 times more fucked than anything that these tariffs are doing to me right now. It's a little bit harder to find them. It's different than having a CEO or some economic advisor that has $10 million in his bank account talking about it on Bloomberg News. But those are the stories that are going to make a difference. My story got told, but a lot of other people's stories don't get told. If you want people to care about this issue, you got to speak to the me of 11 years ago that had $1,100 in his personal checking, $15,000 in his business checking, a shithole store that was a hole in the wall, 2 employees, and a couple of boxes of screens.
I mean, I mentioned this like literally when I first started watching the video or the other video of his. It does seem like people really do not like the tariffs so far, and I'm so glad because tariffs do. Obviously can play into a lot of populist messaging. That's partly why MAGA fucking loves them so much, and that's why people seem to, even not fully MAGA people, like in a campaign, seem to relatively support some tariffs at least. Probably not. They probably would have never supported universal tariffs. They would have just said, oh, I don't think Trump will actually pull the trigger on universal tariffs, but here we fucking are. Man did what he said he was gonna do. Believe it or not, guys. The thing he promised on the campaign trail 100 million times, he did it. Whoa, that's crazy. But I'm so glad that people don't like it.
And some donor boards. I was rubbing 2 sticks together, working until 1 a.m. every single day to do business. At that point in my life, I couldn't go 2 weeks without working without being completely screwed. And you got to tell the stories of those people. Or the me of 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I couldn't go 2 days without working without being completely screwed back when I'm working out of a park. Because those people are going to be just as affected, if not way more, than I am. Because again, if I have to go a year or 2 without working, I'll be good by year 3.
Isn't he a right to repair guy? Yeah. Not even doing the monopolies, playing obsolescence, antitrust soft rant. Yeah, true.
Or but the point of the matter is, a lot of the people watching are people that can't go 1 day without working, without being completely fucked. I'm getting my story told, but nobody gave a shit about my story when it came to this 11 years ago, and certainly not 15 years ago. But they're going to be affected much worse than me, because even though my business will make less money, I won't be able to pay bonuses the way that I want. I won't be able to invest in things that I want to invest in. I am not in the position that a lot of people are. There's a lot of solo entrepreneurs and sole proprietors that are at a point where these tariffs can affect them to the point where they're gone. They're fucked. They're back in the situation where they don't have $1,000 for an emergency. And what drives me nuts in general is that the media does not cover the stories of these average everyday people. And I appreciate what Steve did, because he did his best to travel around the country and go over all this shit. And to be clear, I'm not blaming Steve in any way, shape, or form. He did everything that he could. He covered this better than most people in the media did, in my opinion. But at the same time, we have to deal with the fact that the everyman, the sole proprietor that don't have $1,000 in the bank, is not getting a lot of opportunities to tell his story. And I feel like if these people had their opportunity to tell these stories, it would resonate more with the type of person that says, QQ, cry me a river business owner.
Don't worry. I'm sure we'll get, like I said, I'm sure we'll get some great deals with all these countries, bro. 18 deals in 6 weeks or whatever. I'm sure.
Who's not making as much money as they do before, when it's not about me not being able to pay an employee bonus that I wanted to pay or invest in something that would have done better for my business into the future, but rather when you're talking about tariffs affecting small businesses in a way where they're back to that point where they have $200 to rub together and maybe they're closing and now those sole proprietors have to
used to hearing leftoid ramblings where they always tie things to a singular cause, which just happens to be their pet issue. Yep.
Their friend's couch or something. Tell those people's stories. They're very important. The second thing that I wanted to go over is the idea of making
trade wars are actually just part of their old class wars and play into the broader dialectical materialists.
all the stuff in America again. There's a lot of things that you could do if you want people to try and shift manufacturing back to America. And in my opinion, one of the worst ways to go about that, by far, is to go about it in the way that it's being done now, for a number of different reasons. The first reason is the capital investment required. When you talk about making stuff in America, I can't afford to open a factory in America right now. If I sold my house, I sold everything out, I'm not going to be able to tool up everything that I need to tool up in order to be able to make things here. I'm going to have to find financing somewhere, which means finding an investor, talking to loan officers, or anything else. And when I lay out my business plan to these investors, they're going to look at this and laugh, because if a tariff can be 40% today, 120% later, this is exempt today, but then on Truth Social they say this ain't exempt tomorrow, that's a very unstable business environment.
True. Also, I mean, just the fact that, you know, tariffs apply to all the imported goods that are, or to all the intermediate goods and capital goods that you need to fucking build your factory with, at like, that's what's really fucking insane. Oh god, what was that one paper? There's a good paper that show it just provides like a basic model that says like, hey, guess what? If you tax if you tax capital goods, you get less capital investment. And you know, we show that with X amount of tariffs, you reduce capital amount of investment by X amount because of the fact that you're tariffing capital goods. I forget. I think it was. I have it somewhere.
I would be stupid to buy anything at this point in time, because if I buy something with a 120% tariff that's not exempt now, and 2 weeks from now that is exempt, that means that all of my competitors are going to wipe the floor with me, and I'm going to lose a massive amount of money. So when I look at what I'm doing with my business, at any time that I enter a new portion of my business, I'm thinking about risk. It's not just about the profit I make, it is also the risk of loss. So we are weighing the amount of profit that we're going to make with the risk of losing everything if we do something stupid. And that always has to get weighed. People just look at the profit that's something being made and, wow, that's a lot. But you have to think about all the times that our business and other businesses lose because we took a risk or a gamble. And they're going to look at this as a serious risk or gamble. Even if I am able to make things in America, even if I am able to somehow do it in a price competitive way and be semi-successful, they're going to look at this and say, with the unstable environment that we have now, there is no way in hell that I'm going to trust that in 3 years that everything is going to be similar or the same to the way that it is right now, which means that I have zero chance whatsoever to get the financing that I need from an investor or a loan officer or a business, some company or some private investor that deals with businesses in any way. They're not going to give me money to do the things that I need to do, which means that I'm not going to be able to get the investment that I need to build things in America. So if you wanted to talk about building everything in America and you got this high tariff, but you couple that high tariff with some sort of program for businesses where they say, if you want to invest in doing things in America and you follow this specific strict framework and you stick to it and we can inspect you and see that you did it, we will provide you a loan that you will not get from anybody else. That's something that I could say, okay, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I see that you're trying. You're doing something there that's actually going to result in businesses doing the work to build things in America when the investment and the financing is not there. You're not going to get that at a point in time when we are slashing the government rather than working on programs that would actually make sense. I'm not even saying that the government should be involved in providing these types of loans to everybody so that you could have everything made here. But if you're going to go out of your way to make it as difficult as possible to purchase from other countries, then you got to do something to bootstrap people making stuff in America. Because you sure as fuck don't have a bunch of private equity people investing in building all these factories and all these different industries right now. You got Trump announcing people that were already building or planning to build in here and pretending that it's news for the press and the PR. The money and the investment for the little guy to start working and making stuff here and building everything in America, that ain't here. And nobody in this administration is talking about it. And nobody seems to give a shit. And as people say, Trump is a businessman. He was a business person. Again, he's a business. You know that saying, the house always wins? He's the only person I know where the house lost. How the fuck do you bankrupt a casino? But point being, whether a bad business person or a good business person, he's a business person. He deals with loans on a regular basis. And I would imagine that he would be aware of this, the way that people invest, how certain people have to be when they're investing large amounts of money. In particular, taking small businesses that are used to buying the stuff in other countries and then deciding to invest the millions upon millions of dollars that will be necessary to tool up to do that stuff in America. No consideration was made for any of this. There's no plan around any of that. There's no there's a tariff, but the tariff is kind of like the sugar, right? You need the cake, you need the bread, you need the dough, you need, if you're making a pizza, you can't just make a pizza with tomato sauce. You need the rest of it. You need the oven, you need the dough, you need the cheese, you need everything else. You can't make a pizza with tomato sauce. You need the rest of it. The tariff is a very small part of this, and the entire rest of the plan, whatever it is, right now.
I feel like I always have to remind myself, my brain is broken. These people's brains are normal. Okay. I don't know. I gotta understand the motivation behind everything he's saying here and everything. I mean, it makes sense, but like, I just wish we talked about macroeconomics. Okay, I just wish all these videos were, talking about, again, the benefits from economies of scale and the benefits from exchange and competitive advantage and the benefits from specialization and maybe I don't know, guys. Maybe trade is just good. Maybe trade is just good, and like we don't need to make this shit here. Maybe trade is just good. Do you expect normal people to know and care? No, that's why, Lita, like I said, I always have to remind myself that, like, to the average person, it's like it's much more like meaningful to say that, like, oh, this, maybe is a good goal, but tariffs are only part of it, and I don't know. It's just like, why, man?
Now ain't there, and I don't see anybody trying to make a plan for any of this stuff. So when people say he's at least trying, in my opinion, no, he's not. Because if you were, you'd have the rest of the plan, and you'd talk about creating the rest of the plan. I don't see any of that right now. Next up is the idea of pricing. Let's say that the financing was there to build.
I had a theory that post-COVID and post the stimulus, a heavy local production drive would be the ideal mechanism to a quick recovery. Well, actually, you know what? To an extent, the IRA kind of did. Fuck. There's a study. I know. I had this. I feel like I got it from No Opinion. I know I had this study somewhere in my fucking disorganized ass fucking notes. There's a model. There's a paper that shows a model that shows that tariffs are going to have a negative long-term impact on investment. Oh, I know. I bet I know what article it's in. I bet it's in No Opinion's. There is no. Utopia. I bet it's in this. It might actually be this one. Long run effects of trade war? Yeah, probably. Hold on. Fuck. Fairly good chance of this one, yeah. I might have it here. Or maybe I'm mixing up two studies, because this is, It's this article. Yeah! Thank you. Yes. Hell yeah. Any simple model in which capital goods get taxed at a higher rate is going to show less capital accumulation over time. In other words, deindustrialization. Thank you. Yes. I love you. I love you, Catrix. Catrix, I love you.
Everything in America, right? Let's say the financing and all that stuff was there so that can be done. Even if you had all of that, when you look at some of the products I talk about, it's not the way it was in the 80s when Trump was talking about this. When you're talking about a VCR that's $200 from an American-made company and then $180 or $120 from a Japanese company or a South Korean company. When you look at that and you see the difference in
I haven't grown one plant yet. What the fuck do I do? Can I harvest these? I don't know what to do. Do I have to water them more? Is that the issue? I might have to water them more. I haven't been good about watering
prices.
them.
A 100% tariff or even a 50% tariff is going to make a serious difference in the decisions that consumers make. When you're talking about today, where there's a product that I can afford to sell at a decent profit at $200, and that product is not just as good as a $1,700 or $1,800 product in America. It is better. It performs better. It has attachments to it that the American...
This is true. Yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this as well. Sometimes shit made in America is just worse. Okay, we're actually... Which I don't know, the couple will be, we'll get better at producing it over time. But sometimes other countries just have the knowledge and everything to do this stuff better than us, and that's not a bad thing. A lot of CHIPS Act was a good step in this direction. That's why I was very confused at the initial announcement of tariffs, because it seemed like the opposite of a post-COVID emergency strategy. Yeah, I will be. I think actually. Hasn't Trump already done what he can through executive action to slow down the CHIPS Act stuff? If the CHIPS Act actually gets repealed, which I don't know if Trump even cares to do anything through Congress anymore. Trump signed an order to set up a new entity to take over Biden's CHIPS Act program. But if CHIPS Act actually gets repealed, that'll be just entirely fucked. New office will be responsible for negotiating much better CHIPS Act deals than the previous administration, which, I don't know, probably means fucking no deals. Unpopular opinion, I'd rather buy a $200 refrigerator once every 5 years than a $1,000 refrigerator once every 10 years. I don't even know if that's it. I don't think that's an unpopular opinion because that seems to be what consumers actually want. It's just that, like, the ad hoc justification for some of these tariffs, by the way, a lot of times is the sort of, Chinese goods, low quality, planned obsolescence,
product doesn't have it. By the way, it's $1,700 they sell fucking separately. Can you imagine that? $200 product comes with all the different attachments that I need. I buy that thing for $1,700 in America. It's not even as good. And the gall to say nozzles sold separately. But point being, the $1,700 product in America, and then it's like $200 for me to sell you the one that I sell right now. Even if you had a 200% tariff on that product, I would be able to sell it to you for a profit for way less money than the product that is made in America. Which means even if you had a 200% tariff, even if you did have the financing and the infrastructure to make it in America as it is, that product is still not going to sell well in contrast to the other product. Because we're not talking about the VCR anymore. We're talking about $130 versus $180, where a 50% tariff could bring things in line. We're talking to the point where even if you had a 1,000% tariff, that shit is still going to cost considerably less money than the American-made one. And that's something that I don't see people talking about at all. The gap is so large at this point that you can't change it with that. You're going to do a serious amount of damage with that tariff, but you're going to cost people a lot of money. You're going to do a lot of damage to a lot of businesses. You're going to make things more expensive for the American people, but you're not going to accomplish what you're looking to accomplish because it's not 1985 anymore. Next up is when people say shit like, well, listen, even if it's more expensive to make it here, even if the stuff costs 10 times as much, I would buy
American jobs.
Fuck you. No, you
Oh.
Make it here, even if the stuff costs 10 times as much, I would buy it. Fuck you. No, you wouldn't. I believe you as much as I believe the people in my audience that say that they read the 90-page end-user license agreement for everything they sign up for. Louis, you're an idiot. I can't.
What people prefer, what people prefer. It's just they don't build them like they used to in the 1950s when one job, blah blah blah. Weirdos say it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Believe there's people in your audience that are so stupid that they don't read the 50-page end-user license agreement for every application they install in their refrigerator and their Wi-Fi router and their... No, you fucking don't. I'm never going to forget these types of experiences that I've had, where people come into my store, they got a Bernie Fight for 15 sticker on their laptop. There's a repair that we do for $60, where I tell them the reason that it costs $60 here and it costs $50 there is because he has his nephew working for minimum wage, and the person doing that repair here makes $35 an hour. And they tell me I don't care, and they walk out and they go to that dude anyway. He fucks everything up, and then they bring their phone back here to pay $450 for a data recovery. I can't tell you how many times, regardless of quality, regardless of reviews, regardless of the in my opinion, very good reasons.
Yes, apparently making inputs harder to get for both small businesses and even new entrants that would otherwise have had more risk bearing comfort seemed odd to me. Yeah, crazy. Don't worry, I was assured though that the soon to become ERS, okay, they're gonna have 20-page studies on tariffs, guys. Gonna have they're gonna have 20-page. That was fucking funny. Studies on tariffs, and they're gonna know exactly where to implement them. To be honest, I should have just sent it. Sent what?
That I cost $10 more than the other guy, that somebody walks out and says, I'm going to the cheap shit anyway. I don't fucking believe you. They'll put that sticker on the device all fucking day, but when they're actually faced with the decisions that allow that sticker to be true, they don't make those decisions. People lie with their mouth and they tell the truth with their wallet. When you're talking about buying products that are over 1,000% more expensive, I don't believe you when you would say you would pay extra for the American-made product. I don't believe you when you say that you'll pay $8,000 for a goddamn smartphone. I don't believe any of you. And you can say, fuck you, Louis, and I'll say, fuck you right back. You don't read the end-user license agreement to everything that you buy. You don't. You're lying. Yeah, tell me more about how you report the $20 on your taxes that your neighbor pays you in cash to mow his lawn. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're lying on the internet, and I don't believe you. Next thing is talking about American jobs. Let's bring jobs back to America. Let's have more people in America be able to create things.
Oh, no. Oh, wait, maybe this might be good. This kills American jobs. I'm worried because, again, my brain is broken. I want to talk about foreign exchange rate appreciation, and he might actually mention the intermediate goods, right? I think there's a good chance that he mentions, you're tariffing intermediate goods, and that hurts producers. But I want to talk about the relative profitability of industries, okay? I want to talk about Lerner's symmetry theorem. I want to talk about, he might mention retaliatory tariffs as well. But all those have negative effects on jobs.
We manufacture.
I want to talk about gains from specialization and increases in productivity, which then increase growth, which then increases job opportunities in the long run. But the woke mob won't let you. It's just a self-imposed embargo. By the way, banning trade can be useful. Such banning stuff coming from child labor or apartheid states. Child labor is based. Apartheid, I mean, if it's apartheid states or whatever, like, literally, I mean, Israel, maybe you can argue is an apartheid state, but, like, I don't think the goods that we get from Israel are, like, made in Palestinian slave camps. At least I don't think many of them are. I don't know. I guess I don't know for sure, but, I don't know. Child labor is based, okay?
Sure, things will have more jobs, and that's what we need. And that's something that I actually want to push back at in many ways when it comes to small businesses. In some areas, you'll get more jobs. And there are some things that we frankly need to manufacture in America for our own national security. I agree with that. But there's a lot of jobs that are going to be destroyed by this or never going to be created. One of the things that a lot of libertarian people will say, I'm less libertarian now by a large margin than I was probably in my early 20s or teenage years. But one of the things they say is that there's the seen and then there's the unseen. Everybody talks about the seen, but they don't talk about the unseen. Everybody talks about the 50 jobs that were created, but they don't talk.
I love you, Lewis. Sorry I doubted you. Holy shit, I love you.
About the 500 jobs that were destroyed to create that would have existed if you didn't do something. And when I think about my company, I'm really thinking about the tariffs from the standpoint of the man that I was when I was 19 years old and I started this business from nothing. I had $260 in the bank. I had probably $500 or $1,000 in debt from various other places. I didn't have two sticks to rub together. I bought 3 MacBook screens. I bought a shitty ass soldering iron from Radio Shack that cost $15 so that I could get that little bent stick that I would use. You know the bent red or yellow stick that would come with the Radio Shack soldering iron that would allow you to plug in the A1181 inverter board wire without having to pull off the clutch cover? I remember that shit. I remember being very, very broke. And at that point in time, when I had $200 or $400 to rub together, because remember, most Americans do not have $1,000 for an emergency. I could not afford to spend $5,000 or $7,000 on my tools so that I could start doing board repair, so I could start doing everything that I do. I could afford to spend a few $100s. If I needed to spend $5,000 to $7,000 to tool up, I would have never started this company. How many people would have not learned how to do board repair for the 1,000 videos that I did on YouTube if I didn't start this company? How many people would have went to the Apple store and paid $1,000 or $3,000?
Your Chatterino dumped my channel list? I would not only make sense. Your what? Your Chatterino? Oh, I know what Chatter. Oh fuck, I'm sleepy. Yeah, I know what Chatterino is. I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
For a repair that we did for $200 to $400. How many people would have less money in their pockets? How many people would have not gotten their data back? How many people would have had to go to Drive Savers where they charge people $2,000 to $3,000 for an iPhone screen or a fucking charge port rather than come to businesses like ours where we were able to do those same jobs for a few $100s? I would have never started this company if my startup cost to start this company was $5,000 or $6,000. It would have just been out of my reach permanently. I grew up poor. I had no money when I started this shit. I had a credit score that was as low as a Tennessee area code. I did not have the ability to pay that. Many of the people that watch my channel are broke. There's one guy, Mr. Tony Tone, he sent me he used to comment regularly. I don't know if he still watches. He was talking about working out of his car and living out of his car. And then he sent these photos that I have somewhere in a folder of the store that he built after he worked his ass off for several years from nothing to build himself up. That guy's not paying $5,000 or $7,000 for the tools that he could otherwise have bought for a few $100 to be able to do his job. When I look at the proteges that I've had, where they started their businesses when they were 16 years old, they saved up money that they made while they were working minimum wage jobs, and then they started businesses where they served thousands of customers. They got hundreds of 5-star reviews on Google. They're doing good work for people. Remember, every single time somebody in this business does a job, that is one person that spent $200 to $400 with us instead of spending $1,000 to $3,000 at Apple. What do you think that means for the amount of money the average consumer has in their pocket? What do you think that means for how they're going to be able to spend that money in other parts of the economy? All of this stuff is not being considered. You're not thinking about the unseen. Now, again, does that mean that we should make nothing in America? Absolutely not. There's a bunch of shit that we need to make for our own national security. We need to be able to make a lot of chips that we didn't make before. We can't get to a point where every single one of our vehicles is manufactured in another country. There's a lot of stuff that we need to build here. But at the same time, this idea that we are just going to completely and utterly fuck with how things are done with no plan, I don't like that shit. Lastly, the most important one.
Local manufacturing would still be producing at a competitive disadvantage. Still, the input costs are relatively high or higher than that of the competition's truth nuke. Oh, counts. Can I steal it out? Can I steal his fucking shit? How do I steal his shit? I want to steal his shit.
That I forgot is that prices are not coming back down. I said something in the video that I did with Steve that I didn't process at the time, and I didn't think about even as I was doing my tariff video. I said, I can only afford to make this mistake 1 or 2 times. And if I make that mistake 1 or 2 times, my business is gone. So what does that mean? I've been in business for 15 years. I have some of the best ratings on Google Maps in my industry. I'm well known around the world. And I can only afford to make this mistake 1 or 2 times or my business is gone. That means I run a horrible business. And that means that my business practices fundamentally don't work. I didn't realize that. That wasn't a conscious thought in my head until I saw a 120% tariff. And I had to wonder about whether or not I was going to have to pay $30,000 or $40,000 for what I was importing over what I was paying before. And this is going to sound weird, but you don't want business owners to have to think about stuff like this. Obviously, saying that you shouldn't think sounds really bad, but you really don't want a business owner to start thinking about things like this. You like inertia. Inertia is where I do today what I did yesterday because it worked yesterday, and tomorrow I do what I did today because it worked today. And when I realize that I am this close, just 1 or 2 mistakes away from going out of business, I need to rethink my entire model because my model fundamentally has a flaw in it. When it comes to raising prices, a lot of the time it's going to be corporate greed. If a company can fuck you, in many cases.
He fumbled at the fucking 1 yard line.
They will. However, the other 20% to 30% of it, in my opinion, is people realizing that they made the same mistake that I made with my supply company back in 2010 to 2014. In that video, I talk about how I was trying to compete with people that had way more money than me that could afford to sell things at lower margins. It's actually greedy to lower your price. This probably sounds very counterintuitive, but I want you to think of the math of it with supply and demand. If I sell something with a $20 profit margin, I may sell 5 a day. So I make $100 a day in net profit. However, if I lower the price to where I'm only making $10 of net profit, I may sell 100 a day, where I make $1,000 a day. So the business model where you sell fewer of an item, but you have a higher profit margin, very often makes you less net profit than when you sell large volumes at a lower profit margin. That means there's a much smaller margin of error than there would be if you were selling something with a low volume and high profit. Even though the price is lower, you're not lowering the price because you're a good Samaritan. Businesses are lowering their prices because they know if they can sell more volume, that there's more net profit. This is very similar to banks that will have less cash on hand because that means that they can give out more loans. They're not doing that because they think that everybody should get a loan because they really care about the little guy. They're doing that because they can make more money. And this is one way that banks fail, when they have too little cash on reserve for all of the people that are withdrawing at the same time. This is also something I discussed in the video that I did on Intel's oxidation scandal. A lot of people were saying, why should I care about a company that makes $1 or $2 billion a year? You know, QQ for them. And by all means, Intel is not a sympathetic company by any means. But the point is, from a financial point of view, they made $1 or $2 billion in net profit on $57 billion in sales, which in my opinion is horrible. You're talking about profit margins here that are 2 or 3%. That's bad. I would never want to run a business with a 3% profit margin because that means the tiniest mistake could destroy you. And what I realized throughout this process is that the smallest mistake can destroy me. This is similar to somebody that doesn't have a proper diet. If you don't have a proper diet, and instead of eating several meals a day, you eat one gigantic meal every 30 hours, you may wind up with these little pockets of fat because your body is scared that it's not going to get to eat again, so it holds on to it. And the same thing is true when it comes to a business. When I realized that I was this close to being completely financially fucked as a result of having a business model where I am selling high volume, low price, do you think that I'm going to be more likely to rethink that business model than I would be if...
I mean, I don't think that, okay, I mean, the corporate greed thing was probably a little dumb or whatever, because what he's describing is not at all corporate greed. I mean, it's just, yeah, in times of uncertainty, you might want to change up your business model like this. I don't think that's I don't think this is unreasonable.
If nothing bad happened at all. I've been through this already. I made this mistake 13 years ago where I was trying to sell things too cheaply because I wanted to get higher profits from having higher volumes. And what happened as a result of that is I took one of the greatest opportunities that I got in my life where somebody gave me a pretty nice investment and loan for a great company, and I ran it into the ground. I destroyed it horribly, and I lost all the money involved. Not just the investor's money, but a bunch of what I had saved as well. Even if the company that's selling me the goods decides that they're going to lower their price again, I got to think about what I'm going to do with mine. And that's a hypothetical that I don't even have the opportunity to consider at this point, because several of my suppliers have called me and they've been honest about it. They've said, Louis, you keep saying in public that this product we sell is better than products that sell for 2 to 5 times the cost. So why are we selling it to you at 1/2 to 1/5 the cost of the products that you say are worse than ours? They've had to rethink this. They look at their price, they look at the fact that the price is going to go up, and they think to themselves, this is going to sell anyway. And it's not even about greed for them, because they're selling something that is 1/5 the price of a competitor that sucks. Are they greedy for saying, instead of selling it for 1/5 what my competitor's product costs, I'm going to sell it for 1/4? I don't think so. I think that that's them realizing their worth and realizing their value. And this is why I said that you don't want businesses to rethink their entire model. This is why you don't break the statute, because even once you try and glue everything back together, it's not going to look the same as it did before. You're going to have all those cracks in it. The same thing is true here. This is why you don't fuck with the economy based on a tweet on a social media platform and try to change everything radically. Because when you do all that shit, it doesn't go back to the way that it was before. People change the way they do business. You're giving people an opportunity to rethink things. And when you have tariffs that are like this, that are so high and so inconsistent, it's going to make businesses realize, I have not eaten in 1 or 2 days. Maybe I should retain some of the fat as a result of it, just for my own self-preservation. Maybe I should have more profits as a form of self-preservation, because the profit margins that I was making before, that doesn't work. That was a mistake, and I can't make that mistake again. You don't want to break the inertia. You don't want to have businesses reassess their entire model and realize, I wasn't making enough profit before. I'm raising my prices, not because I'm being greedy, but because I was destroying the stability of my business. So maybe I should charge more for that GPU. Maybe I should charge more for that processor. Maybe I should charge more for those speakers or that printer or those headphones. And when people continue to pay that price, they realize, I was undervaluing myself before. You know what it feels like when one of my suppliers calls me and says, you know what, Louis, you've been saying over and over again that our product is better than shit that costs 5 times as much. Why are we charging you 1/5 what they would? I don't have an answer to that. I can't lie and say, no, your product actually, it's not really that good. I just say this stuff on the internet, but that's not true. Yeah, you're right. Your product is better than stuff that costs 5 times as much. What am I supposed to say? Keep undervaluing yourself? You don't want that person to wake up. You don't want that person to realize that the shit that they're selling is too cheap. Don't give them that opportunity. That's why you don't set economic policy by fucking tweet on Truth Social. That's why you go through Congress. That's why you want to have a stable decision-making process for everything, and you don't want to just break everything all at once. This is something that I said about me in several videos ago. I forget exactly the one, but I remember saying something along the lines of, I don't want you to judge me based on my intentions. I want you to judge me based on my outcomes. That's why I don't come out here and talk about how Repair Preservation Group is the best nonprofit ever, and look at everything I did. I raised $900,000 from you people. I was able to help a lot of people in this coalition get a bill passed on tractors, and that's pretty good.
Profits? Kinda. It seems like that, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's 100% implausible, but
get a bill passed on wheelchairs, that's pretty good. And I even read to you an email of somebody that probably would have waited 4 to 6 months to get their wheelchair fixed, that got a new one sent to them in a few days. But when it comes to the consumer electronics industry, frankly, I'm with Andy.
No, I don't think he's doing that through inflation. No. Is this? I need to find Robin. Are you Robin? I did the carpenter. It said north of the town. This is a carpenter.
We have access to less parts now than we did several years ago. We have less access to schematics and everything else than we did several years ago. We're in many ways screwed. Did we get bills passed? Absolutely. Did those bills particularly help you very much? No, I'm not going to lie.
4,000 gold, 300 wood, and 100 stone. Okay, that's a lot of gold. I don't have that. And I don't have much wood or stone either.
Lie to you and claim that I won. I did a video last year explaining exactly how I feel that I lost. And I don't want you to judge me based on my intentions. I want you to judge me based on my outcomes. And that's going to be a lot of harsh judgment that I earned and deserved for not succeeding in what I was doing. If I'm going to have that standard for myself, then I'm going to have that standard for other people, especially when, in my opinion, they put less effort into their plans than I did when they had every single resource available.
No, don't worry. You think I didn't see the Hasan Piker fucking New York Times piece? Of course I did. I didn't read it because why the fuck would I do that? But yeah, don't worry, I saw.
Millions of billions of dollars to have the best people on earth come up with plans, and you come up with nothing, and you're doing everything on a fucking, and you're coming up with the shit as you go on a social media website. Again, when you have a tariff that can be set by the president who's ignoring Congress, who's coming up with these fake emergencies, people investing, the people that are giving out loans, they want to see a stable environment. They want to see that that Congress is setting tariffs, that it has to go through the checks and balances.
I've been reading in general are pretty cringe. So true. I'm not even doing that. I'm doing lazy rant content right now. I'm being a peak streamer. Right? I'm literally doing Hasan right now.
They don't want to see that tariffs and trade policy is being set on social media by one man. That makes them feel like it doesn't make any sense for me to invest in this area because everything could change tomorrow and my investment could be worth shit. The next one is that maybe
that's true. Actually, that's true. Should just walk away. He has fancy light. I need these lights. Can someone donate $300 via super chat right now so I can buy the Elgato fancy lights?
This means that people will be less consumeristic, and maybe is that even a word? They'll be less
playing Animal Crossing or whatever's that pre-recorded. No, I'm playing it. This is Stardew Valley. I've never played it before, so I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm probably playing it wrong. But
do you really need a new phone every 2 years?
It costs like $40. No, these are not $40. The ones I have are $40. Elgato. Like these are like $100 each or something. Is this 2 of them? Or just 1? Create your bundle. I need a bundle. Yeah, no, okay, so it's 159 each. It's a scam? No, it's not. These are good lights. What do you mean? Chinese knockoffs are good enough. What do you mean by good enough? I mean, they're good enough for me, definitely, and everything. But I don't know how much it doesn't like really matter or anything. You might be right, but I like having fancy stuff. I mean, technically, no one need like. What do you mean by good enough? This microphone that we both have. I'm sure plenty of other microphones are good enough. It's your setup, not the lights. What's wrong with my setup?
Do you really need a new TV every 3 years or a new laptop? And I agree with that. I am all down for us to have a less consumerist society. By all means, there's a lot of waste. At the same time, the tariff exemptions.
Buying an overhead light that I need to change. It takes 2 bulbs. It hasn't had 2 working bulbs at the same time in well over a year. Based.
Are not coming to people like me. They're going to companies that are far up in the S&P 500 that have a lot of lobbying money, that have the ability to advocate for these types of exemptions for them.
I mean, bed
in a way
made when it's
that
part of the background is the most important part. I mean, I got sheets on it.
Can't. For all
I always have my blinky. I'm like a grandma, okay? I have my blinky on me at all times. I don't put the fucking top sheets on my bed ever though. I just have like all Gen Z does, okay? I just have the fitted sheets on. I never put the fucking top sheets on. That's bullshit. I should go full Asman on a bed. True.
Even you people that think that I'm rich because I have a 2,000
I'm retired.
square
I should
foot
be retired. Maybe I should be retired. I don't know what I got up to.
upper house, and because I could not make income for 2 years and be good before I have to start thinking about working again. Even for
I could just like throw. Usually, I have where's the clutter? Sometimes I have a little bit of clutter behind my monitor. Like I'll have like 3 or 4 like Monster Energy cans behind my monitor, but like I clean it. I get rid of those every day. I could start saving them rather than getting rid of them every day, and I could start stacking them behind me instead of behind a monitor. I think the only people who have better microphone than yours are musicians that work for a company. Yeah, well, yeah. What I need, this is the issue, okay, is that before I got this microphone, I would have always said I would have been super happy with the microphone, but now I'm just like one day when I become a big streamer, okay, I'll get the TLM 103, okay, it's like $1,000 fucking microphone. I got a good deal on this microphone before, though. I told you guys, or definitely told the story on stream before. I didn't even first of all, I didn't even know if the offer on eBay, if the microphone was real, because there are a lot of like scam fucking microphones on eBay. EV-RE40. I know the RE20. I don't know what RE40 is. Do you mean the RE20? You gotta mean RE20, right? RE20 is a little more, but I got this microphone for like $200 on eBay with a good XLR cable, like a fucking $50 XLR cable, and a stand, not this stand. Yeah, 5-finger RE20. Yeah, I would I'll talk about an RE20 in a second, but I got a Samsung Q2U. There's no way. No, there's no way this is any better. No. What was I saying? Oh, I think this microphone was just like sitting in the warehouse of a fucking like classroom or something for years, but it was never opened. I honestly thought it might have been a scam because I think they had it on eBay for like $250 for this microphone, this fucking $50 XLR cable, and a stand for like $250. And I submitted an offer for like $220 or something, and they accepted it. And I got it. And to my surprise, it was genuinely never opened SM7B. I, opened a box. It's a fucking legitimate box, and it again had never been opened before. Although it did have it had dust on the outside. It was fucking the outside of the box was dusty as hell. And I opened it, and there's this fucking microphone in it, and I did all the checks. I took the back off, and it has the genuine brass plating and not the knockoff silver plating or whatever. It might be the other way around, but whatever one is the legitimate one I have, I think it's brass is legitimate. It has all the markings of legitimate SM7B. It was probably a spare bought by a streamer who failed, but it was never. It was I think it was like I said, literally sitting in the back of a warehouse somewhere. I also I do like though. The RE20 is just too. It's not necessarily too big, but it's too big to be. It's too big to not be side address, and be forward address, because I feel like this, it's smaller lengthwise, and you mount it in the middle. The RE20 you mount at the bottom, and it's longer lengthwise, and it would be. I think it'd be okay with it if it was side addressed. So if you spoken to the side of it rather than into the front of it. But I feel like it's just too, I don't know, it'd be kind of inconvenient with my setup to have it like that. R20 should be in suspension rig, not direct mounted. Well, that's annoying too. Is that these are super bulky? By the way, all the this makes it fucking worse. These suspension rig things. What do I call it? Shock mounts. That's what's annoying too. But although to be fair, it does mount it closer to the middle. But deep throat it dude, my mouth isn't even big enough to do that. I can't. Genuinely, I can't. I cannot fit my mouth over it. I'm too tiny. Even if I I can't. It's not just a pop filter too. It's literally. That's the clip. Literally, look at this shit, man. My teeth are gonna get fucking stuck. I'm gonna be those people who swallow light bulbs and get shit and get it stuck. I can barely. I cannot do the items deep throat. Okay. That's a clip. Don't clip that.
For you people who think I'm rich, do you think I have the same budget for lobbying as companies high up in the S&P 500? Who do you think is more likely to get a tariff exemption? Apple and Google, or me? So when I don't get a tariff exemption and I got to pay 100 or 120 or 140% tariff on or the tools that I need to do my job so people stop selling them, that means that the tools and everything else for the repair people become more expensive. And it also means less people getting into the repair business, which means higher repair prices and lower availability of repairs. Now, when people are debating whether or not to buy a new product, that very often has to do with the price of repair. If the price of repair is too high, people buy a new one. This is going to increase the price of repairs. If you increase the price of repairs while the product prices stay the same because they're able to get tariff exemptions that I'm not, what does that mean? You have actually increased people's incentive to buy a new item. You're actually encouraging consumerism by making repairs more expensive. You know how you hear Trump rail about the elites all the time when he's campaigning, the elites this, the elites that? People that have billions of dollars in their bank account are going to pay less in tariffs than me, than Andy, than Northridge Fix, than Jessa Jones. Does that sound fair to you? Forget about the fact that this will increase the cost of repairs, which is the very thing that causes people to decide to buy a new one. Does that sound fair to you? Because again, when we're talking about the people in my audience that will say stuff like, yeah, cry me a river.
What's funny too is that we had we have higher fucking tariffs on all the intermediate goods and don't have that high tariffs on fucking final goods. The fact that we exempted iPhones and some other electronics from tariffs, but still apply tariffs to batteries and a lot of the intermediate goods coming from China. We're tariffing all the inputs for businesses, but now we're not tariffing the final goods. It's Yeah, brilliant fucking trade policy we got going on. Tariff only the intermediate goods. Tariff only the things that don't even at least increase producer surplus. Like, the face win no billions of dollars in your checking account for real. Exclamation point TTS in the chat. Actually, wait, I never pinned the dono link, did I? Let me pin it in. I pinned it in Twitch and Kick Chat, not YouTube. Because YouTube, I just need likes. YouTube people get out easy. They just have to smash that like and sub button. Everyone else has to. What the fuck? How do I? Oh, there we go. Has to deal with the TTS dono link.
With the more money you have than me about how you're losing money. The gap in funds between the poorest person in my audience and me is less than 1% of the wealth gap between myself and Tim Cook, between myself and any CEO in the S&P 500. You want to talk about how, oh, QQ, cry me a river, because you have more money than me. How do you think I feel when I see people that are worth tens of billions of dollars getting tax and tariff exemptions that I don't get for like my Sanford & Son truck company? In conclusion, I completely understand the desire for things to be made in America. In practice, I don't think it's being done properly, and I'm going to talk about it. I don't care if I'm talking about New York City government being incompetent, or I don't care if I'm talking about a Republican administration having no idea how basic economics work. This isn't about partisanship. This is about the facts. This is about me going over what I see as I see it when I see incompetence. It doesn't matter who's in office. It doesn't matter the letter next to their name. And one of the things that drives me nuts more than anything else when I see people talking about this is they're doing this thing where I'm not listening to you. I don't hear you. I hear somebody else's idea being channeled through you. And that's the part that's the most frustrating. I don't want to hear somebody else's ideas in your head. I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions, but I'm not hearing your opinions. I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm reading what you're saying. And when I read what you're saying, it feels like a copy pasta. It feels like somebody who is not thinking and processing, but rather acting reflexively and saying something because they had this triggered, aggravated feeling. I remember reading this study a while ago and it was talking about how when people...
That's what's, by the way, it's annoying, Pentuple rent-free living in my head, to get like called like an NPC by fucking Pentuple, and like I can look at his Twitter and like see the like talking points like updating in real time. It's like, dog, kill me. It's like, dog, clearly one of us actually has read about this and like has an understanding of it. And like also, by the way, none of these people had an opinion on tariffs before before Trump. Like I was gonna say none. Like a lot of these people are basing their opinion on on tariffs solely off of Trump supported them. It's like none of these people had opinions on tariffs before Trump. And to be fair, like I had stronger opinions on tariffs after Trump. Like I read more about them after Trump. But like you can go, I could go talk to my old econ teacher, and when Trump was not in office, I still had opinions on tariffs. They actually used to be more positive. I would have never said the U.S. should do a 10% universal tariff, but I used to be more left wing, so I used to be more concerned with like, IMF controlling developing countries, making them have no tariffs or whatever. But like, I still, yeah. If you play cards at all, you should join the poker league. What the Pentuple poker league thing? That thing? I don't really. I mean, I know broadly how to play poker, I guess, but I don't know. I don't. I got stuff to read. I got bitches to fuck. I got yeah, that's all I do. I do one of those things more than the other. I won't tell you which one though.
Hear things that go against the way they view the world or their political opinions, they actually become angry, and there's literally...
Wait, this isn't trash, is it? Have I been throwing all this shit away? Oh, fuck, I thought it was just a chest. Oh, fuck, I'm retarded. Holy shit. I thought... Wait, no, this is it. Wait. Wait, I thought this was... Wait, I thought this was a storage thing, and then, like, this was... Oh, fuck. Wait, hold on. Wait, no. Wait. Wait, but then where's all the... Oh no, fuck it. It's garbage, isn't it? Oh, fuck me, I'm stupid. Oh, I'm fucking retarded.
Cortisol that flows through your body from stress as a result of hearing that. And that makes sense. If we think about the way we have evolved as humans, if you talk about several 100,000 years ago, forget about politics. If my worldview is incorrect and the wolves are actually coming from that direction, not this direction, or the tiger's coming from there and not there because of the way the world works, if you tell me that I'm wrong about these things, that means that there is a chance that I will be eaten alive by this wild creature. That is very scary. There's a legitimate reason that I want to keep my worldview, and that when I hear anything that is contrary to my worldview, I'm going to be stressed. At the same time, this is going to be a very difficult thing to do, but we can't turn off our brains every single time we hear something that's contrary to our opinion. This is something that I was guilty of even as recent as 5 or 6 years ago. I would read something that's contrary to the way that I view the world, and I could feel myself a little aggravated. I could feel myself trying to find information that reinforces what I was saying, and I would feel myself not really even able to finish the article and getting pissed off at it and trying to question the motivations and everything behind the person.
Why don't we
who
hit
wrote
the
it.
fucking what was that fucking bitch hitting earlier? The fucking whatever candy vape bullshit.
Now, by all means, you should do all that stuff. You should question it. But you shouldn't be at a point where you feel yourself becoming physically aggravated when you read or hear something that goes against a person that you like, a person you look up to, a product that you purchased, or anything else. One of my best friends, one of the things that she imparted on me, she said, don't allow people that dislike you or hate you to take away the one thing that matters more than anything else, your brain and your ability to use it. Don't turn off your brain because the person that's telling you something is somebody that you believe would not like you. Take in the information, listen to the information, and say at the end of it, you know what? I still want to do what I do. I still want to believe what I believe, and I still want to think what I think. It doesn't make me a bad person, and that doesn't mean that I need to change my mind on what I believe immediately. I can have two thoughts at the same time. I could watch Not Just Bikes' channel, and I could nod at the entire thing and say, this makes total sense, as I move to a place in the middle of fucking nowhere where very likely that the amount of money I pay in property tax is way less than the amount of money that it costs to maintain this particular area. Because I like the view that I get. I like dealing with peace and quiet. After living in a place where I felt like a sardine stuffed into a can for 32 years, it's nice to finally have a little bit of peace. And I could tell myself, yeah, that guy's completely correct. I agree with everything you're saying as I live here. I can read information that goes contrary to my belief system and contrary to how I live my life. I can accept that information and simultaneously accept that that doesn't make me a bad person. And it doesn't mean that I have to change my entire life because I read something and I said, yeah, that makes a little bit of sense. I don't have to work backwards and try to think.
I mean, by the way, it is probably, it is worth mentioning. Economists just don't disagree that much on tariffs, man. There's like no, like basically the only economists defending Trump's tariffs are like total fucking hacks. Like there aren't many legitimate economists defending Trump's tariffs. There are economists who are in favor of like industrial policy, but even a lot of them aren't really in favor of a fucking 10% universal tariff, believe it or not. But his tariffs aren't in a final state yet. Yeah, wow, great defense, buddy. That's kind of part of the issue. It might actually be better if he would just get to the final state or whatever the fuck, and not cause so much uncertainty along the way to getting to that final state. Okay, wait, is there a storage thing? How do I store stuff if it's not putting it in the trash can?
Of reasons that you're wrong and have this cognitive dissonance and go out of my way to get angry at it or act in this reflexive way. I can read something that's contrary to the way that I believe or contrary to the way that...
How can we know if stabbing this guy is bad if he hasn't stabbed him for the 20th time yet? His stabbing is not in the final state. Like, okay, dog.
I act. I could take it in. And I'm going to ask that a lot of you do the same. You could keep your opinion, and you could continue to like the people that you like, and you could continue to vote for the people that you vote for, and you can continue to disagree with something while simultaneously being open to the idea. And that's all I'm asking. I want you to have your own ideas. I want to listen to what you think, what you say. And if you're not thinking because you're just having the ideas of other people in your head and being a conduit for the ideas...
Stabbing equals policy, I see. Yep, that was the analogy. Good job.
People should have ideas.
Thanks for following,
ideas shouldn't have people.
Hell yeah.
Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. Also, many people have commented that I haven't made videos on a regular basis in a while. What's going on with that?
The stove touching isn't in final form yet. How can we say that touching the stove is bad and burning our hand when we haven't reached the final phase yet? I think by the way, I might I should do a stream, or I should just stream until 8 a.m. Because you don't know if the stove will be on or what temp. I don't know. It seems like we have really good evidence from everyone, from every study ever and every economic model ever that the stove is on and hot. I don't know. I don't know, man. I think it comes out at 8:30 a.m. I should just do a stream, okay, at 8:29, just me refreshing BEA GDP data. Yeah, 8:30 a.m. I need to read more about this too. Okay. Fuck, I don't even know. Open fucking Minecraft. No, no, I don't want to play Minecraft. No, no. Don't update Minecraft. I gotta get back into streaming regularly. Like I said, sticky motivation. Okay, have to remember, not motivational rigidity. I had to edit a little bit of shit today, so I streamed a little late, but I don't know, tomorrow I think I'll be back to regular shit. I don't know. I gotta set up more debates. I don't know. I don't think I have anything planned this week other than Gibbs's panel, which is every week or whatever. And then I guess Friday for sure. I know I'll be watching. Might go to Connor Boy. I guess head over to fucking basically no one is streaming on Twitch right now. I guess Pisco is. Okay, head over to fucking Pisco on Twitch. I'll see you guys tomorrow. That one is, it's not worth writing on YouTube. It's probably just be tomfoolery again anyway. Not that that's a bad thing. Tomfoolery, my goat. How do I save in Stardew Valley? If I close the game, will it save? Oh, oops. Well, I hope so. Okay, goddamn. Yeah, I love streaming. Love to guys watch the stream tomorrow. I'll probably stream for longer. I don't know what we'll do tomorrow. I think I have to. There'll be more shit to read, and I think there'll probably be videos to react to, and I can edit those and have YouTube content. Anyway, I'll see you guys. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Hell yeah. Bye bye.